This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Many, Mickey, Pishy.
You are listening to the Voices of Wrestling podcast with your hosts, Joe Lanza.
X out and go listen to some boring podcast where they're afraid of their own shadow. Okay? Don't listen to Joe Lanza, because Joe Lanza's not changing.
And Rich Craich.
Give me a name. Like who delivers this guy in a big spot?
Joe, don't yell at me.
In the big spot, who delivers better than this guy?
Stop yelling at me. I agree.
All right, and welcome once again to the Voices of Wrestling Flagship podcast. I'm Rich Craich alongside, as always, Joe Miyaki Hanma, the king of banter, Mr. Joe Lanza. Joe, what's happening?
All right. I mean, it's getting a little better. Shockingly, I'm still struggling a little. Maybe I'm dying. Maybe this is just it.
you're always in fear of your inevitable death, and yeah, it might be staring at you right now. So
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I haven't gone to a doctor, so this could be fatal. Whatever I'm going through here, but
sometimes this stuff is tough, man. After Mania weekend this year, I was done for 2.5 weeks or whatever. I think I missed one show. Maybe did I miss two? I don't know if I missed two shows. Maybe just one show, but then even the one after that, I was just sucking on a cough drop. And sometimes these ones you just can't get rid of them. Some sicknesses you nail them. You're done in a day. You're done in 2 days. And sometimes these things just fucking hang around for like 2-3 weeks, and it's just the worst.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, physically I'm fine except for my voice and my throat. So I don't know.
Yeah, I get that where like I'll cough, like I feel fine, but I just cough all the time, and like I can't talk. And it's like the similar thing where I'm like, no, I feel fine, like I'll do all of my normal activities. I just cough all the time, and I just hate it. It's very annoying. Yeah, the voice sucks, and you just cough a bunch, so it's pretty terrible.
Well, if I pass, what I want you to do is come to the funeral.
Oh, is this an official will, or because I'll get it in a Google Drive if so. Should I get the Google Doc open?
Well, it's on record. I'm saying it.
I guess, yeah, other people can sort of vouch for it. Okay, go ahead, yes.
If I do die, I want you to come down to the funeral and put that shit behind the paywall. I mean, for God's sake.
Absolutely. Yeah. What's our tier, though? Are we a new tier, of course, right?
Got to create a new tier for that. And if people want to attend, because you got to look at it this way. Forget the people who like us. Forget the fans. The people who hate my guts will want to see me get buried. You know what I mean? Literally buried into the earth and put away for good. You can make a lot of money on that, So, I would definitely strongly suggest, and I'm allowing this to happen, putting this down on the show, going out to everybody. Put that shit behind the paywall, please.
That's a great double whammy. I got to talk to the TLB here off air sometime. Do you have life insurance, Joe?
She'll understand.
No, I don't care. Do you have life insurance? I'm talking about me and TLB are going to start working together here. What's your life insurance policy looking like?
Well, now I'm not answering that question.
I was going to say because double whammy here. So you die, which would be terrible, tragic, to the whole world, and I would definitely miss talking to you every single week. But then I don't have to talk, 3 hours of wrestling every single week. I get the mega money from your funeral streaming.
Right.
And I'm fucking out after that. You know what I mean? Like that check cashes. I'm done, man. I'm out. And the TLV gets a little something nice, whatever that life insurance policy is. The house, this could work.
She gets a little taste.
This could work. I like this. I like this a lot. So the problem is okay, for the record, I am joking. Because if you do actually, you know what I mean? Just in case, for the record. Although that's not bad. Not a bad idea. All right.
No, you got to do it. I'm not even doing shtick.
No, I was going to do that for sure. I mean, the actual trying to get you to pass on. Me and the TLB working in cahoots to get you to pass on. That obviously we're joking about. But I'm absolutely not joking about your funeral. I would, if I couldn't get down there, I would very, very nicely let the TLB know, hey, look, I will give you 75% of this money, but we are going to make a lot of money, all right?
She gets 75%.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna have her film it though. I'm not getting down there. So
right.
If I'm not down there, hey, I know Joe died. I'm really sorry. You mind, download the Patreon app on your phone and doing a lens for me if you can.
Hold hold on a second. Or back up a second here. You wouldn't come to my funeral if I died?
I would. I'm saying if I couldn't for some reason. I would go down there.
I think that's the story here. I didn't expect the bits to go in this direction.
I know it's. I'm saying if in the whatever scenario where I would not be able to attend, I would of course make any attempt to attend. Are you kidding? Get out of here. You're not buying it.
All right. That was a little surprising.
I would. The reason I would want to go down there is I don't know anything about, but I don't trust her camera abilities. I feel like I would just do a better job with it. So that's something that gets her. She's got a lot on her mind. You just passed away. Like I feel like we would get more value, and our the people that subscribe would want to subscribe because I would have some pretty good camera work. I might even have Michelle come down, have her work on her camera, like bring her nice camera. We could do like a 2-camera shoot type thing. Like we really make this work here. You know, some close-ups of the sad family members and stuff like that. That's what I would prefer to do, but you know, we'll see.
Just get morbid.
You started it.
But it went in directions I didn't think it was going to go. I mean, but you're right. I don't know if she can handle it. Like, I mean, she's a 31-year-old white girl. She takes selfies.
You're right. She might even be better than me at it. Yeah.
Yeah, she takes selfies holding Starbucks cups and shit. So I'm sure there's some ability there. You know,
next to her live, laugh, love sign.
Exactly.
It's not her fault, to be fair. She's just doing what she was meant to do. So that's fine.
That's what you're born to do. Yeah. There's a new one. I got to take a picture of that one.
God, was it the winter one, or are we already into spring?
Nah, it might be the worst one yet. To explain to the listeners, we have this awful back and forth bit where, in the Voice of Wrestling office Slack, where we send each other the terrible, live, laugh, love type wall.
Eat, drink, be happy. Yeah.
This is not a house; it's a home. All that, like the kind of garbage that women put up in the house. And whenever one of our sig others put a new one in the house, I got a new one though for you, Rich. I can't wait to post this one. It's in the living room and it's bad. Oh, it's bad. I mean, this one's and because it's right there in the living room when people come to the house,
always seeing it.
It's just always front and center. Yeah, it's a pretty awful one. It's like right next to like family portraits and stuff. You can't miss it. It might be one of the worst ones yet. But
I'm excited for that. But let's get into business here because we got a ton to talk about this week. We did mention this while we were doing our instant reaction shows on patreon.com/voices of wrestling or voicewrestling.com/patreon as well. We did instant reaction shows for Wrestle Kingdom immediately following both night 1 and night 2 of Wrestle Kingdom 14. And we mentioned on those shows that we can't really do the Wrestle Kingdom 14 review show here because we've done it. We've given our takes. We've talked about it. You and I have talked together about it. There's just nothing really else that we can do. We still want to do something about Wrestle Kingdom 14 for those that aren't subscribers, but really this is a good opportunity to say, like, what are you doing here? We tell you that, it's $5 a month. It's chump change. It's nothing. It's basically free, as you like to say. $5 a month gets you the instant reaction shows. We did those immediately following Wrestle Kingdom. And this is, we tried not to take stuff away from the flagship and put them on the Patreon. We try to keep the flagship, to itself and feel important and feel special and whatnot. But in this case, like we're doing those instant reaction shows. We're talking about Wrestle Kingdom. We're spending an hour after every single show breaking them down. We just can't in good conscience come back here and go, all right, Joe, what'd you think of, Sonata and Zack Sabre Jr.? Like we can't do that because we did that already in excruciating detail. We touched on the attendance. We touched on the business aspect of it. We touched on the booking aspect of it. We touched on the in-ring. Like we did everything we possibly could on those instant reaction shows for 2 hours total for both night 1 and night 2. So we just can't come back on here and do the same Wrestle Kingdom 14 review show. So we're not going to do that this week. Though I did want to kind of talk about it because now we are a few days past. It obviously has come and gone. Anything change for you in terms of Wrestle Kingdom 14? Anything that you've kind of thought about a little bit more? Things that really have you kind of stewed over, or things that have sort of changed in your mind? A few days out from the show now.
No, I think they were both incredible shows. They were both great shows with, each one of them I thought had, 4 to 5 very good to great matches. I think that both shows had what will go down as, at least 1 or 2 legendary matches. And I think there was the home run angle with Kenta at the end of night 2. There was the great angle with Minoru Suzuki on night 2. So, really for me, The only area where the double dome lagged a bit was right where we thought it would during those, 8-man tags, that hour during the first show where really nothing of consequence happened. And, I'm still annoyed that they did it that way. I think they would have been much better served to throw on a couple of undercard singles matches or something in those spots. But that's a minor gripe. The two shows drew 70,000 fans combined. I mean, there's no complaining there. They did, millions and millions of dollars in gate. I saw the exact figure, but I don't remember. And I think that from that perspective, the Double Dome idea was obviously a wild success, drawing 40,000 fans the first night, 30,000 fans the second night. What I want to hear from you is this something that you would do again, or is it something that there were just special circumstances with it falling on a weekend and you had this big match with Okada and Naito? Because, before you answer that, I remember someone who many consider the most compelling voice in wrestling media telling the world 2 years ago, after Naito lost to Okada, that it made just far too much sense to do the rematch in 2 years at the same show when Wrestle Kingdom would fall on a weekend and you can fill the building to the rafters if you keep those guys away from each other for 2 years, and then do Naito's big coronation there. Now, we had no idea there was going to be 2 dome shows and all that, obviously, but that was my immediate thought 2 years ago when Okada won the first match was, okay, you don't do it next year. You wait till the year after, because then the dome will be on a weekend. And typically Gato is very patient with his booking, and he might make, that'd be a very Gato move to wait 2 years and keep them apart for 2 years. And ultimately that's how it played out. And that's why I was fairly confident after the G1, after even Naito was eliminated, where I came on this show, the very next, show we did after he was eliminated, and said, I'm still confident he's walking away from those shows with the title. I still think that the Double Dome made it to where losing the G1 did not matter.
Right.
We still didn't know about the tournament, but it opened up the possibility that anything was possible at that point, and ultimately that's where it played out. So that's my little mini victory lap on both of those instances, and you were right there with me.
Yeah, no, you should take a big victory lap for that first one, because I remember us, and a lot of people kind of giving a shit about that too. Like, why would you wait 2 years? Why would you wait 2 years? And I think our argument was always, that is the biggest match that you have in this company right now. And if all things go well, that it's still the biggest match you'll have in that company in 2 years, and you'll be able to have it on the perfect scenario possible, where you can have those two guys work the dome on the weekend, January 4th, and that was, and we said it at the time, that is your chance and your ability to get the highest Tokyo Dome number you've maybe ever had, or get people in get every seat in that place filled by doing it on a Saturday, doing it with a longer build, holding it for that moment. And obviously things went a little bit differently than maybe we had initially anticipated, but still the end result was pretty much exactly what we thought. And no, it was, split over the 2 nights or whatever, but still, like, the tip of the cap to doing the 70,000 over those 2 nights as well. I mean, you can't take anything away from that. If you listen to our, instant reaction show on night 2, we talk about the attendance from night 2, which was down, almost 10% or not 10%, 10,000 from night 1. And we talked about how that's a little bit of a failure and a little bit of a, you have to kind of call it what it is. It was, they night 1 peaked more than night 2. And I guess that's a way that I'll answer your question there is, I don't hate the Double Dome thing. Like, it was fine for me. I enjoyed it. Watching it, it felt even more important because there was the 2. I do worry if that you maybe get a little too cocky here. And I think what happened with night 2, if night 2 had more attendance or exactly the same attendance, I would say, yeah, dude, let's do this thing every single year. Let's just say, hey, look, January 4th and January 5th or January 3rd, January 4th, however it's going to fit. I think the 4th and the 5th probably works a little bit better. However it's going to fit, hey, every single year we're going to do this until we can't anymore. I have no problem doing that. And they might still do that. But I would say, because we saw the drop a little bit where the January 4th, the Saturday, it felt, I guess, to people there, felt more important. It felt more like, this is Wrestle Kingdom this night. Whereas we saw on the Sunday, and I don't know if that's because it was a Sunday, I don't know if it was because it was back-to-back nights, I don't know if it was because they have no confidence in what the match was going to be delivered. I don't know exactly the reasons why, but the fact that you had 10,000 less for that second night worries me a little bit that maybe you don't want to get too cocky with this. Maybe you don't want to do it on a Wednesday and a Thursday or whatever. And yeah, the Wednesday, the 4th does really good numbers. And then the next day on the 5th, with Thursday or whatever the hell it's going to be. I don't know what the, it is next few years. That does, 20,000, 25,000 or whatever. Do you really want that? What are the optics of doing that? So that's why I would, me personally, I would probably say, you know what, fuck it, let's try it at least one more time, and let's try it on days that aren't optimal, which will probably be, over the next few weeks, you're not going to get this, or the next few years, you're not going to get this optimal scheduling again. And if it doesn't work that night, then you just say, okay, look, it didn't happen, it didn't work, it's not going to work, go back to the one night, or whatever. But, given that you got 70,000 people in that building there for 2 straight nights with a lot of the same talent, all the same stuff, and I don't know what building fees are or whatnot, I don't see why you don't at least consider it, for future years, unless you just get signs that say, no, do not do this on, a Thursday and a Wednesday or whatever. But I don't know. Do you kind of have the same thought too? Like, I would at least try it one more time.
I hesitate to use the word failure. I'm uncomfortable with that word for the second night. Because it wasn't a failure, but I think if I do it again, I learn from this time, and I'm announcing my main event for the second night. Because
yes.
I think if Okada Naito had been announced for night 2, it draws more than 30,000 fans. And this is kind of like the point we made behind the paywall, in that it's a tricky thing, because while the weekend as a whole was a massive success, I would be a little let down if I'm in the room that ultimately Okada Naito drew 30,000 fans. And I know there's people probably screaming at their devices saying, no, well, they drew 40,000 the first night. Okay, well, that match didn't draw 40,000 people the first night. Okada Ibushi did, and White Naito did, and whatever was scheduled on that night did. Hiromu's return. Okay. Night 2, especially if you want to come at me with the argument of people were anticipating Naito Okada and expecting it, well, then that's even worse. That's a worse argument to make. Because then the match still only drew 30,000, and you're telling me people, quote unquote, knew it was coming. I think the opposite. I think this is where Gato's booking broke fans. I think if that match would have just straight up been advertised the whole time and didn't just have the one-day build, there's more than 30,000 fans in that building, because that's a match that should have sold out the building. Now, would you rather have one sellout with the outfield open and do, let's say, 50,000 fans? I have no idea how many people they can cram in there, but for the argument, would you rather do Naito Okada on one show and do the 50,000 fans? Would you rather do these 2 shows and do 70,000?
That's what I mean. Yeah, even
70,000 fans.
Yeah, even if you eat shit on the second night or whatever, if you get 35,000 or 40,000 night 1, and then 20,000 night 2, it's still that's pretty good. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not bad. That's 2 opportunities to sell merch, 2 opportunities to sell concessions, 2 opportunities to Exactly. I mean, like, that's where like the temptation comes in. Is it's like, yeah, I mean, on its face you would like to say, yeah, dude, hell yeah, do one show, sell that bad boy out, get 50,000, 55,000, whatever. But on the second breath, it's like, you can get to 65, 70, just with the second night being a quote unquote disappointment or whatever. That's what this. I mean, it's night 2 is a disappointment. You have 70,000 people in there, so it's like I don't know, like hard to really say that you shouldn't do that.
Yeah, I mean, you rather do 70,000 across 2 nights, but I cannot kick the feeling that for Okada Naito that 30,000 is a bit of a disappointment, in a vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think they're going to do 2 domes every year. I think this was a special circumstance weekend, and they felt like they had the right match that was protected and all that. So I don't think unless you get those circumstances again, you don't do this. But I definitely think if you do it again, you have to have a full announced card for both shows. I mean, I do think as successful as this weekend was, I genuinely believe they actually left money on the table.
Absolutely. 100%. And especially now if you don't have this, if it's not on a Sunday or whatever, if it's on a weekday, you can't anticipate
by not having a main event announced for night 2.
Sorry, we're breaking up there a little bit with connection-wise, but what I was saying is that, given if this isn't a you know, if it's not on a weekend or whatever, it's on a Thursday or whatever, that like you cannot now, you can't anticipate walk up. You have to get people in the door on that second night. You have to get people taking work off early, doing whatever. I know there's a holiday around this time too, so I don't know if people have, you know, the 5th off all the time, regardless. But like, yeah, if you're going to do those 2 nights and it's not going to be on a Saturday and a Sunday or whatever, it's going to be during the week or the end of the week or whatever. Like, you can't just anticipate people walking up. It cannot be a walk up crowd. So I'm right with you that if you do this again, which I think that they're at least going to tease it, and I think maybe them not announcing it right away and not announcing it during, you know, night 2 of Wrestle Kingdom might be a thing of like, hey, let's kick the tires on it a little bit. Let's think about it a little bit. If you're going to do that though, yeah, you got to announce at least top 2 matches, I think, for both nights. I think out of the gates, you cannot, I don't think you can do a, hey, come and see who maybe will show up on night 2, or hey, who's going to be the champion night 2 or whatever. I just don't think you can get away doing that again if it's during the week. You can't anticipate those walk-ups during the week.
I don't like asking people to assume that they're going to get something. And, you know, to me, you know, and I don't know, to me that was backed up by the attendance on night 2. You know, it's almost like I would almost say it almost would have been better to do Okada Naito on night 1, but that show sold out. So it's not like it cost them anything holding the match off. Just in a weird way, I think the match by itself would have almost, I mean, do you have any doubt that match would have drawn more than 30,000 fans on its own? I mean, no one listening to this has any doubt. As I said, an incredibly successful weekend where I can't kick the thought that they left just a little bit of money on the table. But at the same time, if you don't have that killer, super protected, once in a half decade kind of match, you can't even think, you can't even attempt to do back-to-back dome shows like this because you need a match like that. My whole thing is, it's like, I really feel like they would have been better off announcing it. And that means you don't have the tournament, and I get that. And that means you got to have the big. But what we've learned here, too, see, we learned some things, right? We learned that the 4th is going to draw no matter what because of the history. And so you can put the weaker show on the 4th, really load up the show on the 5th, and put your powerhouse main event on the 5th. They were wrong. Maybe 5th wouldn't draw because it's just all about the 4th, or draw as well, I should say, because let's not forget, 30,000 fans is more than they drew 2 years ago for Wrestle Kingdom. So it was a huge success. Okay, so they did 2 shows this year that outdrew the 1 show as recently as 2 years ago. You know, if I were the booker, if I'm in charge, I am just, and I just wish there was a way I could have gotten more out of this match that I protected for 2 years. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and as far as like matches that, you know, really stood out or whatnot, you know, we talked about it during the instant reaction shows, and it's obvious, you know, night 1, your final 4 matches are really going to be the ones that to me really, really stand out and are definitely the must watches. For night 1. I mean, I guess you can skip Night 2 in white if you want. I've seen varying degrees of people that enjoyed that a lot more than we did, and then people that hated it even more than we did or whatnot. So that one is one that maybe if you're pressed for time, I could get skipping. But those final 4, Moxley and Archer, is absolutely a must watch. You know, I absolutely love that match, and I actually went back and rewatched it again because, you know, the day of, it's like one of those ones. It's 15 minutes, so it's not like I'm not going to probably go back and watch Okada and Ibushi anytime soon because it was like 40 minutes or whatever. But Moxley and Archer, since it was only 15, I was like, yeah, you know what? Let me dive into that real quick. Let me just watch it again. And it held up. It's a really, really good match. I absolutely love what they did with that one. And then Hiromu and Will obviously, you know, stands for itself. But like,
let me ask you a quick question.
Yeah.
About Moxley and Archer. Because I didn't notice this the first time I watched the match, but a lot of people made a real big deal out of Moxley missing on those knees. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Archer, and they didn't come anywhere close to Archer's head. Did the live viewing? I didn't even notice it.
I did. I
got to be honest. I didn't.
Even on replay, Joe, I don't think I noticed it really. I knew it was coming, and I knew the spot that it was, and I kind of watched and said, "Okay, here's the spot." And it's like, I don't know, it's like fucking 5 seconds and it's over. It's, you know what I mean? Like, yes, when you zoom in on Twitter and have it in a looping GIF, oh my God, look at Jon Moxley's, but it's like in the context of the match, it's like 5 seconds in a 15-minute match. I mean, what? Who cares?
Yeah, I mean, I saw it after the fact and then saw it when I watched the match again, and yeah, it obviously looks horrible, but it didn't kill the match for me or anything like that. I don't know. Sometimes those things really drive you nuts, and sometimes they don't, and you can't really explain why. So I get why people really hated that. I don't know. It did look awful, but we didn't talk about it the first time around. So because neither one of us noticed it.
Yeah, I did not in the first night actually notice it. So,
which is why we didn't talk about it. So I just wanted to bring it up now.
But yeah, I think the big thing coming out from the weekend, though, I think I like night one a little bit better because those final 4 matches, I think, all kind of delivered. Night two, obviously, there's some great stuff in night two, obviously, with Goto and Kenta and Naito and Okada at the end or whatever. And then obviously the Kenta angle, to finish it out. But yeah, I mean, when you talk about it overall, like, it's going to be weird is I don't know, looking out to the end of the year, and wondering about show of the year and where this one's going to rank. It's one of these weird things where, like, I don't know that individually either of these shows will rank as the best show of the year. But it's like, when you look at it in totality, like, there's 3 out of these, 3 of these matches are going to, no doubt, I think, be in our top 10 at the end of the year. And it's one of those weird things where, like, because it's the 2 shows, you know what I mean? Like, are people going to lump them in together? Are people going to pick and choose? Are they going to cannibalize one another? I'm kind of globalizing this and thinking about it, long term or whatnot. But, like, when it's all said and done, if we lump these 2 shows together and kind of think of them as one, there was like 3 incredible, unbelievable matches that, again, I have no doubt will be in our top 10, or at least in the top 15, with maybe the one being on the outside, and that's Hiromu and Ospreay, Okada and Ibushi, and then obviously Okada and Naito, are like matches that will stand the test of time the rest of the year. But I do wonder about the show and these shows, whether they'll stand the test of time, or because of the split show, and because, like you said, night 1 was filled with a bunch of junk at the beginning, and night 2 kind of started slow until it got going as well, but then there was some misses along the way as well. Like, how are these shows going to be remembered the entire year?
I mean, that tends to happen with Wrestle Kingdom every year where, people talk about their shows of the year, and sometimes Wrestle Kingdom won't come up. And for me, it almost always does, because then I'm like, well, hold on a minute. Wrestle Kingdom had 5 matches that,
right.
were consensus 4.5 or better. How do you, forget about it? But that always happens. It happens so early in the year. That's part of it. The other thing is it's a boring chalk answer, part of it too. And like you're saying, this year, I mean, there's 2 of them and the matches are split. So I'm sure that'll hurt it too. I'm not sure which of the 2 shows I preferred. I haven't really put a lot of thought into that, honestly. I don't know. I mean, because I think a big thing is where you stand on Jay White and Ibushi. Because some people were able to get into that match and they really liked it. I had no use for that match, and as a result, very hard for me to get into it. Number 1, I didn't feel like it had any stakes, and I wasn't interested in a 3rd place match. And then number 2, with the way that Jay White works, the most exciting style. So it's not like the match roped me in with its incredible fucking entertainment value. Mm-hmm. So, and that's like the semi-main event. That's a bad spot to be taken out of the show.
That's why I choose night 1, because there's just this big old lump of shit there in night 2 where it's like, I liked a lot of night 2. I probably in totality liked night 2 a little bit more. I think there was more matches that I enjoyed from night 2 than I enjoyed night 1, but it's like, oh man, there's just a big old 30-minute lump of shit right there, right before you get to, Okada and Naito, and that's tough to get around. It's really tough.
Yeah, so if you're someone who liked that match, I would think that you preferred night 2, and I think that would be fair. I think some of the early stuff on night 2 was a little underwhelming or under-delivered to some extent. Your tag was a nice little match, but not Wrestle Kingdom have the best match of your life, or go out there and try to have the best of your match of your life, buddy. It's a nice little match, so. I don't know. Was that significantly better than the 8-man tags on night one? I don't know. It had some stakes at least. Tiger stuff on both nights were comparable. I think the match on night 2 was better. And I'm not someone super wrapped up in the emotion of Liger retiring. I mean, I like Jushin Thunder Liger, and it was nice watching that stuff, but I'm not like someone who's sitting there in tears. And so neither of those really did a ton for me. So I don't know. I really haven't put a ton of thought into it. I'd really have to think about which night I liked better. But to answer your question, yeah, I think that it'll be hard for one of these shows to be like the show of the year because, yeah, it was split up. But I don't think it'd be unfair to be like, to say like, oh, night one, with the quality of matches on night one. I mean, of course, that realistically is, I think both of them will ultimately be among the best shows of the year. It's just a matter of all those factors that work against it so early in the year and being split and everything else.
So I was looking at Grapple here because we had talked about it during our our instant reaction shows a little bit about where the Grapple ratings were looking at, where the consensus was kind of going with some of these matches, and I want to touch on the big three really from Wrestle Kingdom, and the first one obviously Will Ospreay and Hiromu. That one right now 4.76 right now on Grapple, which is like a tremendous rating. That's a tremendous average. Over 850 people voting on that, still at 4.76 is pretty tremendous there. The one that really stands out to me, the two matches, I should say, that really stand out to me, of course, are Okada and Ibushi and Okada versus Naito. And I'm pretty surprised by this, and I'm curious what your thoughts are here. And there's two things I'm really curious about, really with this. So Okada and Ibushi right now, average is 4.84, so a little bit above Hiromu and a little bit, above Hiromu and Ospreay. 4.84 with 827 votes in for this match. So 827 votes in, which is actually interesting. It's less than Hiromu and Ospreay, but 827 votes at 4.84 your average rating. Now we go to night 2. And this I think is the most fascinating thing with this. And I guess we should ask the guys at Grapple if they have any kind of insights or ideas of what the could be causing this. But Okada and Naito, night 2, is exactly the same at 4.84 the average, but the votes only 650 as of this recording. 656 exactly as of this recording. It's almost 200 less.
I can explain that.
Yeah, what do you got?
The stream went down and people gave up and they haven't watched it yet.
It's possible, yeah.
I mean, I think it's a lot to ask people to begin with to dedicate 2 nights of their lives to 5-hour shows. And then, I saw it live because that was up at Ings or look for an illegal stream. They went to bed and then you're going to work. And a lot of people just haven't gotten around to watching that second night yet is probably what explains that. And a little bit of what we talked about before with the live attendance. People are just used to 1-4 being the day.
Right.
And I think everyone made it a point to watch the 4th. And the 5th ended up being kind of on the back burner. Not that they're not interested, but that one I'll get to. You know what I mean? It's like, but I'm going to watch the 4th live. That's what I do every year. And the 5th, I'll get to it when I get to it. Even tried to watch. Once that English stream went down, they checked out all night telling us, I'm hand waving it. I'll watch it tomorrow. I'll watch it, whatever. And then maybe when you watch it 2 or 3 days later, you're not running a Grapple to rate it because the excitement's gone. In the moment live, you're more apt to go to the app and put your rating in and see what everybody else is saying. If you're watching it on Monday afternoon at 3 o'clock in the afternoon after it's spoiled and everything else,
right?
You're not as excited about pumping your rating into the app. So I can totally understand the night 2 matches having less total ratings than the night 1 matches. Actually, to me, that makes a ton of sense.
And I believe, and I know that they were working tirelessly to figure it out too. Do you remember which night it was that Grapple actually went down? I thought it was night 1, I want to say, or maybe it was night 2. It might have been night 2 as well. It might have coincided with, but I thought for sure it was night 1, which is actually kind of interesting that both apps had big spikes in terms of New Japan World, and Grapple had spikes. But I know that one of the nights Grapple went down. I guess I don't remember now. The whole weekend's kind of a blur for me. With on 3 hours of sleep combined in 2 days or whatnot. I don't remember exactly what was going on there. But yeah, it's an interesting case there. But I just thought it was interesting that both those have 4.84 right now, so they're both almost exactly the same there in ratings. And I guess I could see that holding true. I think more people would be a little surprised by that. But I'm somebody who put 5 on both of those ones, and I know a lot of people really liked Okada and Ibushi. I'm not alone in that, and it's kind of cool to see that both those main events, like you said, teetering on the 5-star average, which is just absolutely insane there at 4.84. So pretty cool stuff from Wrestle Kingdom. But yeah, anything else on Wrestle Kingdom before we get to some of the other news and notes we have to talk about this week?
No, I mean, again, if people are looking for match by match of the show, that's on the $5 tier behind the paywall, and we've got 2 separate shows there that we recorded literally minutes after the shows ended. So they can get that there. But yeah, it's just I don't want to see 2 domes. It's just, man, as someone who stayed up 3 nights in a row, because I watched Dash live as well, it's probably contributing to my physical state, honestly. It's just too much. No, it really is too much. And it's Wrestle Kingdom's not the kind of show that I want to punt to the next day or 2 days later. I need to see it. Watching it spoiled is going to take a lot away, personally. So, I'm glad they did well and all that, but I wouldn't be upset if they never tried this.
Oh yeah, no. While I'm saying that, yeah, they should do it, I don't fucking want it again, man. It was tough, and a lot of times in New Japan shows, I'll watch them in the morning, or I'll wake up at 5 a.m. and catch the main event, and then go back and watch the other stuff or something like that. But I felt, again, like you said, you kind of have to watch in the moment. You have to have that communal aspect about it. And people were saying, oh, we'll just watch it in the morning, or hey, watch it this time. I was like, no, we got to record shows. We got to be this is a big time for us. We're selling books. We're out there tweeting. We're getting followers. It's it was part of our quote unquote job or whatever was to do it, live or whatever. But like you said, normally, yeah, it'd be a lot. It's easier to do it one night and watch it live and go on or whatever. But yeah, I'd love to have just woke up at 8 a.m. and watched it, then. But yeah, there was no way we could do that given, what we're doing here. So I guess we could have, but then we wouldn't be hard workers, Joe. And we're nothing but, nothing if not hard workers, which you're going to find out about a little bit later in the show when we talk about how hard of workers we are and what we did to prepare for this week's show. But yeah, as you said, patreon.com/voiceswrestling.
I'll say this,
sorry,
too.
Go ahead.
This is a great test case for WWE. They should absolutely do 2 WrestleManias. I don't have any doubt about that. I mean, they do a Saturday and a Sunday WrestleMania, because I think that they can put 50,000 people into that whatever building they're running 2 nights in a row. Because I think that their fans for that weekend are that fanatical, and I think that they would go, and I think that they could. And I think there's no doubt that they were watching this to see how it would do. And, it's, they have a larger fan base, a more ardent fan base. They have, they're, exponentially bigger than New Japan. So they have to be thinking that they could successfully do this for a WrestleMania. What do you think about that?
No, absolutely. We've been saying that for years. God, I can't remember how long we've been saying that why don't you run on a Saturday? Don't literally, they're kind of striking out all the competition by signing everybody. But we said, God, I think we said it to in the New Orleans WrestleMania all those years ago. Run both nights. Then there's not going to be competition. Then that competition will be scared. We see right now the competition's scared to run on Sundays, where we think, indie shows should run on Sundays. But if you plop a fucking 6-hour WrestleMania right there on Saturday or whatever, you plop a 4 or 5 hour WrestleMania right there on a Saturday. And honestly, when we talk about it, I personally would probably rather watch 2 WrestleManias than watch one of their fucking 8-hour things that start in goddamn 3 p.m. and go until 11. I almost would prefer it. Hey, look, let's do a 3-hour 2 3-hour WrestleManias. I would much rather watch than this 1 8-hour extravaganza, because it just becomes too much. You just want to go do anything else but sit there and watch WrestleMania for any longer. So I think, yeah, we've been saying it for years, but now, especially given how bloated that WrestleMania has become, it's a no-brainer to do it on Saturday. Move TakeOver to Friday, fucking launch the Hall of Fame into whatever, do it on Monday. Do the fucking Hall of Fame on Monday, do it on Thursday. Who gives a shit? People are going to go anyway, regardless of what day you put it on. People are going to go, but yeah, TakeOver on Friday, Mania on Saturday, Mania on Sunday. It seems like a no-brainer. We've been saying it for years. I can't believe they still haven't done it yet.
I mean, they're just set up with the 2 brands to do it that way anyway. They've got the 2 shows that they treat, or at least try to treat, as 2 different entities. So, yeah, if you're talking about the ability to draw two 50,000 plus houses. The rest of the schedule does not matter. You can manipulate the rest. You know, just do your takeover on Friday, do your dopey Hall of Fame on Wednesday or Thursday, and you're good. I mean, so that really isn't, I guess now with SmackDown on Fridays, the whole WrestleMania schedule is going to be weird this year, right? So,
oh, right, yeah.
But again, do the takeover on Thursday or do it on Saturday afternoon before WrestleMania. I mean, I don't know what kind of strain that would put on their production people, but then just do it on Thursday.
They don't give a shit. They don't give a shit anyway. Are you kidding? This company?
I'm just saying if it were me and I had the ability to draw that kind of money, I'm figuring out what to do with the other nonsense. To me, the priority would be the 60,000 people I'm drawing 2 days in a row.
Right.
I'm worried about that. And I'm going to let the rest, fall into play. I'll figure out the rest. So, but this tells me that, I'm even more confident. I always felt that that'd be the right thing to do, and something that'd be worthy of trying. But now I'm if New Japan could pull it off, there's no reason WWE can't pull it off successfully.
Absolutely. All right, Joe, let's get to the other stuff. The show today, we're going to touch on the New Beginning cards that New Japan announced, both the Japanese New Beginning shows and the New Beginning in the USA shows. We have dates and matches for all of those. We're going to preview Impact Wrestling's Hard to Kill, which is coming up this weekend, and one of the two people will be there live. So try to guess who. It's in Dallas, Texas. So try to wild guess of who's going to be there live at Impact Wrestling Hard to Kill. So we'll talk about that. Also, Joe, there is an NXT UK takeover. NXT UK TakeOver Blackpool II is coming up this weekend as well. We're going to touch on that, preview that a little bit as well, and then some assorted All Japan Pro Wrestling and Pro Wrestling Noah news and notes. But Joe, before we do that, though, I do need to ask you one thing. Do you make resolutions every year? Are you a New Year's resolution guy? I'm sure you are, Joe. I know you.
Never.
Never? You've never made one?
No, it's dopey. I don't do that crap.
Terrible. Yeah,
what are you talking to here?
But I'm going to act like you said yes, Joe. And I'm going to say whatever your resolution was, you need to change that resolution, because you need to change it to the resolution of having nicely trimmed balls. And that's because this episode of the Voice Wrestling Flagship Podcast is sponsored by our friends at Manscaped, and they offer precision engineered tools for your family jewels. They're the best in men's grooming below the belt. Joe, there's people that we hear from all types of people, and we've been through it too a little bit too, where guys, you're there using your hair trimmer, you're there using the straight razor to kind of clean that area, and it's never a good idea. It ends up bleeding, it ends up hurting. It's just a fucking disaster. Like, what are you doing? Thankfully, Manscaped has made it a lot easier to groom your balls, groom your regions, get all ready, get all set to go. So Joe, it's time to gear up and get yourself the gift of shaving this year. I'm talking about the Manscaped Perfect Package 2.0. Joe, tell us about that Manscaped Perfect Package 2.0.
Use it every day. Use it every day. They send you the razor specifically made to trim your nether regions. Okay. I use all the products they send me. TLB, she loves the ball toner. Says it smells tremendous. Okay. So the significant other in your life products as well. All soap. Rich, I use all of it. It's just a tremendous package, and they get a tremendous deal with Voices of Wrestling.
Absolutely. Yeah. One of the important things that we mentioned too, you're not using the same trimmer on your face as using on your balls. You're not stealing the TLB's razors and shaving your balls with them. It's just a lot easier to just have the Lawnmower 2.0, which comes in that Manscaped Perfect Package 2.0. As you said, the Crop Reviver is product along with the Crop Preserver. Keeps your balls from sweating, smelling, and sticking. As you said, these products smell good. Manly Sin is attractive. The TLB's got you bathing in this. Like, you have to put this stuff on every day, right? Like, you got to put it on your face, your armpits. Like, she wants that smell. She's desiring that smell, which is good. That's exactly what you want. You got the nice balls, you got the nice smell. You're doing pretty well there, Joe. The Perfect Package will also come with a pair of Manscaped boxer briefs that'll keep your junk feeling fresh all day. So yeah, you can get rid of those terrible underwear with the holes in them or whatnot, because if you're smelling good and you're looking good and that region's all nice, and get some nice briefs on there, get some nice boxers going. So for sure. So as we said, we said this a few weeks ago, and these numbers are pretty startling here. 85% of women think bad grooming is a major turnoff. That's per Dr. Drew. 80% of women think men should manscape below the belt. We think that number is probably even a little bit higher than that of the 80%. And 89% of men think good grooming is essential to their professional success. So it's not only your success in the bedroom, it's not only your success with a significant other. other, it is also professional success. Guys, you're getting out of that door and you're going, I have nicely trimmed balls. I am going to nail that meeting later today. I don't know why it happens, but 89% of men think that it's essential to their professional success. The nicely trimmed balls, it's just a confidence thing, I guess. You're out there, you're all puffy chested, you're feeling good about your life. You got nicely trimmed balls, you're smelling good, you got the nice boxer briefs, you're going to nail that meeting. You're going to nail whatever you need to do at work. So good stuff there. So they have the lawnmower 2.0. Oh, sir, go ahead. Yeah.
And let's face it, Rich, most of the people listening to this show probably aren't exactly Ryan Gosling with the ladies. Okay? So
right, so you need every edge. You got to use every edge. Yes, I can attest to that for sure. Not you. Obviously, you are one of the most attractive men in the world, but like, yeah, it's a lot of us, myself included, we need that extra little, the thing to get us over the top, get us, that extra little few points there. And yeah, that definitely is what you can do here with Manscaped. So they, of course, have the Lawnmower 2.0, which we talked about, way better than the original lawnmower. It now trims at 6,000 strokes per minute, Joe. That's up from 4,000 per minute with the original lawnmower. Those numbers sound very, very high. I don't exactly know, but hey, 6,000 is better than 4,000, so I'm good with that. This is the big thing, though. The battery life has improved from just 15 minutes with the original lawnmower to 60 minutes now with the Lawnmower 2.0. Joe, I can tell you, I use that thing very regularly as well. I have not once plugged mine in from the moment I got it. So they say 60 minutes on one charge. I feel like I've gotten even more than that on my first charge. I think I actually need to go find my charger because I don't know exactly where it is because I haven't had to use it yet. And that's an awesome thing there too. Rechargeable batteries, no more AA's. And because of that, which is really cool too, you can also bring it in the shower with you. And that's where I use it as well. So you don't have to worry about getting electrocuted or any bullshit like that. So on one charge, 60 minutes, you cannot beat that. Really good stuff there. So
I've never charged it.
Yeah, right. Like, and I think you probably used it more than 60 minutes, right?
We've had it for months.
Yeah.
I've never charged.
I have no, honestly, Joe, legit, I have no idea where the charger is. I better go find it after the show. I'm going to need it. I'm going to get ready. I'm going to be like ready to go. I'm ready to rear it up. And I'm like, fuck, where the hell's that goddamn charger? So yeah, I have not charged it yet.
I shave my balls daily and I've never charged it once.
That's pretty good. Can't beat that. Nothing else in your life you can go with every single day and not have to recharge it. So good stuff there. Now here for the big deals, 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com with the promo code VOW. Again, that's 20% off plus free shipping with the code VOW at manscaped.com. Once again, 20% off and free shipping with the code VOW at manscaped.com. Your balls and your significant other will thank you. So we definitely appreciate Manscaped for their support of the Voice of Wrestling Flagship podcast. All right, Joe, let's get to these new beginning news and notes here. But before we do any of that, though, we do have to say some news coming out of New Japan is that Manabu Nakanishi will be retiring in February. He is hanging up the boots. He's calling it a day. He clearly read, or New Japan read, your feedback on the World Tag League. They read my bio about him on the in the New Japan ebook, which, by the way, you can download right now at voiceofwrestling.com, because they said, all right, buddy, it's over. But really, like, all joking aside, it was beyond time for Nakanishi to go. And we even talked about it on the Flagship a few weeks ago. He was looking like progressively, I mean, like even in the last 6 months, even in the last 8 months, he looks terrible. So this is probably the best idea for everybody involved, for Nakanishi to hang out the boots and for New Japan to quietly just kind of say, hey, look, your contract's up and we're probably not going to renew it. So why don't you just say, this is kind of one of those mutual things where it's like, hey, we're not going to renew you and we don't want you to go out in shame. So just retire and kind of have your your head held high. But what do you make of Nakanishi hanging the boots up here in February?
I mean, he looks like he's in physical pain every time he tries to move.
Joe, did you see during the Liger thing at New Year Dash, he kneeled down? They had him kneel down because he's a tall guy, obviously, so you want to kneel down or whatever, so he's not taking up the entire screen. Getting back up, oh my, you could hear it. I could hear it through my screen. I could feel it. It's just like his knees. You could feel like when he went to go bend them to stand up, you could just hear him cracking and popping and air coming out of him. And you're just like, oh God, like it's over, dude. It's over. And then I heard obviously the next day that he was calling it quits. And I think that's the better move for everybody involved.
Yeah. I don't know if you heard, but Naoki Sano announced his retirement as well. He's going to wrap it up. That one was funny too, because I saw people online like, oh no, Naoki Sano's retiring. Oh my God. First of all, the guy, like, he worked in the grungiest little indies possible. He almost never makes tape. And if you saw that guy wrestle at Wrestle Kingdom, why on earth would you want to see more of that? I mean, come on. He did not look good at all. So I don't know. People get real emotional about retirements. I'm not judging anybody. It's like, it's just not, I feel almost like I'm coming off cold when it comes to some of this stuff, especially with Liger. Rich, are you someone who wrapped up in wrestlers hanging it up? Is it because we see so many wrestlers lie about it and come back? Could that be it? Or could it be, again, because we're sports fans and we see retire constantly, and maybe it's just different because we just know that's the way it goes. You get old and you move on. And I don't know what it is, but it's like I have an appreciation for all these wrestlers, but I don't get like emotional about them finishing up. I couldn't imagine like spending 1 second being emotional about Naoki Sano never wrestling again. That's just not me. Where do you stand on that kind of stuff? Were you like I haven't really heard you talk about it. Were you like choked up about Liger?
So choked up's maybe not the right to me. Like, and it kind of it lumps in with Nakanishi as well. I will talk about a moment during New Year's Dash where I did kind of they did get me for a little bit there. But the thing with Liger and Nakanishi and Sano to a lesser extent is that like these guys are old and they've been wrestling for 30 years. So it's like. It's one thing if like a guy is retired when he's 28 because of like some hip issue or like his neck is, like that sort of stuff will get me because it's like, fuck, this guy still has so much to give to the wrestling world and so much to, so much of his career ahead of him. And like even in sports, like those guys that have to retire because of some horrible, life altering injury or whatever, those things get me because it's like, fuck, man, that was like that dude's life. And now at 29, it's over. Like now, what does he do for the rest? But like these guys, it's like, no, dude, Nakanishi's been wrestling, wrestled 5,000 matches or some shit. Liger's been wrestling for 30 plus years or whatever. Like I instead treat it as like, hey, let's remember how good they were and let's remember how important they were. That's kind of why we did the Liger Beat series at Voice of Wrestling. It was not necessarily because I wanted to like cry about him retiring, but more just celebrate his career. Like, hey, dude, this guy wrestled since before I was born. He was like an active wrestler for 3 or 4 years before I was even born, and like that's to be celebrated. Like that's like really goddamn cool that he was around for that long and is still as healthy as he is, and now he can retire and retire and presumably live a pretty okay life. Like he's not wheelchair bound, he can walk, he's fine. Like that sort of stuff is kind of cool. And that's, when I talk about the things that kind of got me on the New Year's Dash or got me on the Liger retirement ceremony, wasn't anybody kind of bowing to him or giving him the flowers or whatever. But the thing that got me was when like it was his kid and his wife got in the ring there. And it was like this cool, like humanizing of Liger. Like, oh yeah, like he's going to take that mask off and now he's just a dude. Like now he can just live his life and hang out with his wife and do fun things with his kids. And he's bopping him on the head and whatever. And like that was cool. That got me. That was the only thing on that entire ceremony that I was just like, oh fuck, that's like cool, because it's like I could see anybody being in that situation when you're doing something for so long and now you can finally go home and spend time with your family and spend time with your wife and do all that sort of, like that was really cool. So that's the only part that choked me up a little bit during that entire Liger retirement ceremony was seeing his wife and his kid in there and just knowing that now the mask comes off and now he's just the dad. He's Kichi Yamada, the guy, and that's really cool. That's a cool thing to look at. And that's kind of how I'm with Nakanishi too. It's like, no, the guy's retiring like after like 30 plus years of wrestling and like a pretty good career. And obviously he won the heavyweight title one time. And he's well respected or whatever. He's not shamed. He's not shunned. He's presumably not retiring into like, poverty or whatever. Like, no, I'm not going to get like choked up and sad about it. I'm going to be happy that, hey, we got to see this guy for a bunch of years. He got to live a very fulfilled career and a very fulfilled life. And now he's going to move on to the next chapter of his life. But yeah, I don't get choked up over like old dudes retiring. That's not a big deal for me. Like the same thing happened sports wise. Like my 2 favorite athletes almost of all time were Dirk and Vince Carter. And I'm lucky that both those dudes played into, their 40s or whatever. And Dirk retired last year and I didn't get emotional because I was like, dude, I watched this guy play for 20 plus years and it's been awesome. Like he was great. And now he's retiring on the top, still presumably, pretty decent at basketball, but he's decided on his own terms. Hey, I'm done and I'm out of here and I'm good. And the same thing's happening right now with Vince Carter. He's going through his last year. He's the first guy ever to play, in 4 different decades. And like, that's really cool. And like, I'm not going to get sad that Vince Carter's gone. I'm just going to be happy that I got to watch this guy for 20 plus years play in the NBA. So that's where I maybe differ from some people, where some people do get very emotional and very choked up when people leave or when people go away. But I mostly think of, I try to think of the good times. I try to think of the celebration of when they were around and when they were, playing or wrestling or doing whatever, and think of it positively like that. So that's where I don't get necessarily choked up in the same way.
Yeah, I don't know. I can live without seeing Manabu Nakanishi ever, struggle his way through a match again. I don't know. Liger at least could still go. And that ceremony at New Year Dash was I enjoyed watching it, and like everybody else, I watched it with a smile on my face. I like seeing his wife and his son getting there, and Okada taking the selfie, and his son like awkwardly putting up the fist for the picture, like, I'm not a wrestler, what am I putting up my fist for? Like the little moments like that, and Tanahashi losing it and crying a little bit there, and and seeing how everybody shake his hand and bow to it, that stuff was cool. But yeah, I mean, Manabu Nakanishi, Naoki Sano. I mean, come on, I've seen enough of these guys. Okay, I don't need to see any more Nakanishi. And after Wrestle,
stay tuned for a Kurosawa rewatch project that we have going on in Voice of Wrestling right now.
Hey, I'm all about that.
That'd be awesome.
I mean, but and
he
Naoki
broke Road Animal, right? He broke his neck, right? Was it Animal or Hawk? I forget which one whose neck
broke. Hawk's arm. No, he broke Hawk's arm.
That's right, Hawk's arm. Right.
Yeah, that was a big angle. Let me tell you something, though. Everyone remembers that angle. Everybody remembers that angle. So it was obviously memorable and worked. And it's probably the only memorable thing Kurosawa did on that run. It's like, do you remember any other specific Kurosawa moments from WCW? Do you remember him breaking Hawk's arm?
Absolutely.
That's a big moment, do whatever it is he did on through those two. I mean, why would I ever want to watch that guy wrestle again? I mean, geez, go watch the matches against Liger from '89 if you want to see, Sano. Why would you want to watch him, struggle as a 55-year-old man, on some fucking shitty, tradition show with 300 people in the crowd, So it's like, sometimes I don't get it, but, I'm probably just an asshole if we're really being honest here.
Well, I think sometimes you like seeing people retire maybe while they still have some, function or whatnot. You know what I mean? Like, because I'm that way too. I don't really want to watch, like people bring it up all the time, like Willie Mays on the Mets, where it's just like, oh dear God, like please just go away, man. Like we love you, Willie, but it's like where that's not, like if he had just left still in, his not prime, but like left, while he was still a pretty decent player, it would have been, but it was just like, oh dude, like, and it becomes kind of a joke and you kind of laugh at it a little. And that's kind of what Nakanishi's become. Like in the last year, we've kind of pointed and laughed at this guy and went like, Jesus Christ, this guy can't move. He can't bend his knees. Like, what's he doing? Like, so he's like well beyond this point where I think he needs to retire. So yeah, I'm not going to get all choked up and sad about this guy who can barely move, not wrestling anymore. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, good for him. He had any one of those young lions would sign up for Nakanishi's career today. Any one of them. So it's like the guy had a great career. He had 30 years or whatever it was in pro wrestling. He was an IWGP champion for a short time. He was always at or near, at least, for mid-card. So, that's something to be celebrated for sure. So, I'm not, I want to be clear on my point here. It's just, I'm not, I'm watching everybody get choked up over Liger and stuff, and I'm not having that reaction. And I'm like, am I a serial killer? What's wrong with me? But I really do think some of it is the sports fan in me. I mean, I don't know. I see players retire all the time, and I don't know. I just think it's what you do. I think more wrestlers should retire, if we're being honest about it. I wish these guys were better with their money or had some fucking hobbies or whatever the case may be. And honestly, I think more of these fucking guys should hang it up because, it tarnishes their legacies in a lot of ways. I mean, I get it, especially American wrestler, they blow their money and they need to wrestle. I understand. I get it, but in a perfect world, we wouldn't have to see any of these legends, in the state that Nakanishi has been in for the last couple of years. I don't want to, why would you want to see that? So, but Liger, I mean, obviously this was a guy who could still go out there and have a 4-star match. I mean, he's a totally different case, but, to get your quick take on that.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm just looking for someone to make me not feel like so much of a douche. So thank you.
Right. I appreciate it kind of, but, yeah. And get used to this, by the way, because there's a lot of, I'm not going to say dead weight, but there's a lot of old weight in New Japan right now. And I cannot imagine that Tenzan's very far behind, either. So I could see that the dads are, there's a new generation of older guys in this company right now that kind of need to take over those spots and kind of fall to the back or whatever. And yeah, these guys have been around for a lot of the entire time people have watched New Japan. Your Nakanishis, your Tenzans, your Ligers, to a lesser extent, your Kojimas, who can still fucking go. So I hope they don't do that to him or whatnot, because he could just go to another company and just fucking rock no matter what. But like, yeah, get used to this, because I think there are a few more guys that are probably due for this sort of sent out to pasture thing, especially if New Japan is going to be as loaded as they are, roster wise. So yeah, just that's all I'll say. Get used to it a little bit.
I think these guys call their own shots on that, but like, if they can go, I don't mind. I like Yuji Nagata.
No reason for Nagata right now, but Tenzan's definitely due to Tenzan's definitely due to get to.
Tenzan has got to go. I mean, he is very close to Nakanishi land in terms of this is painful to watch. And I love Tenzan, and he seems like a real affable guy, and I loved watching him over the years. But it's like the state of his foot and the way he's moving around, and what becomes a problem is like the problem I had with Nakanishi this year. It's really hard to suspend disbelief that Hiroshi Tenzan is beating up these 25-year-old young lions who are in the prime of their athletic shape, and you can't. When you can't buy into these guys anymore, I'd rather they retire. It's like, I don't know. It's like, I don't even know the analogy to make, but I don't know. I don't want to watch Tenzan in this state. What entertainment value is there in it? And it's like, when it comes to athletic performance, I'm not big into nostalgia, because we have New Japan World. If I want to watch Tenzan kick ass, I'll go watch something from 1998. I'm not going to watch him struggle to run the ropes and look like shit in 2020. So yeah, I mean, he's got to be the next one. He has to be. I mean, it's not going to get any better for him. Let these guys call their own shots. I mean, if he wants to work openers and work with the young lions for 5 more years, God, I couldn't even imagine what he's going to be like in 2025.
God,
and they're probably going to let him do that, So,
all right, let's get to these New Beginning shows here. I'm going to start with the New Beginning in Japan ones, and then we'll kind of work our way to the New Beginning in US and kind of the first of the New Japan of America shows here. But we'll start with New Beginning in Sapporo, Saturday, February 1st. The big matches on this one: Hiroki Goto versus Shingo in your main event for the Never Openweight title. Evil versus Tomohiro Ishii. Okada and Moxley versus Minoru Suzuki and Taichi. And then Naito and Sonata versus Kenta and Jay White are kind of the top 4 matches from that Sapporo show. Joe, do you want me to stop, or do you want me to kind of keep going and do all the shows together?
No, stop. We should break down each one. So this has Goto and Shingo on top, and I saw some people raise some eyebrows, and I'm not sure why. Okay, Shingo's a star. I hate to break this to you. He's a star. First of all, he's LIJ.
He's been a star. Where the fuck have you idiots been? Like, he's been a star.
And on top of that, yeah, he's a fucking legitimate star at this point. And Goto's a guy who you can always throw in the main event of the third, they're doing 3 New Beginning shows, and this is the 3rd one on the chain. There's no reason you can't put a guy like Goto in the main event of a show like that. You can main event with Goto a couple times a year. He's credibility and is a guy who's headlined before. He's never going to fill up the dome, but he can draw on a show like this. And look, and with everything they have underneath on this show, come on, I'm not worried about the show drawing a nice crowd. I don't know if it's going to sell out, but it's not going to be a bomb at the gate. No way. And, Goto's talking about wanting to unify the Never with Naito's titles. So, listen, I hope they do it, and I hope Goto wins. And I want to come through 3 hours of this show.
I welcome that, Joe. Yeah, I welcome that. Yeah, go ahead.
I just get to fucking dunk on you for 3 hours for calling this guy a geek when he is the Triple Crown champion of New Japan Pro Wrestling. This is when a plan all comes together. Okay, this has been Gato. Listen, I've been talking to my man.
8 years, 8 years, 8 years in the making here. God, longer. When was his first New Japan Cup win? God, that had to be
all of those,
all those title losses.
All of those championship losses are building to unifying the 3 belts. And it's going to be 3-belt Goto, 1 around his waist, 1 around each shoulder. Wouldn't he look badass with 1 belt around his waist and 2 over each shoulder? Though, come on, he's a badass looking guy.
He's a big dude. He'd make he definitely could wear 3 belts for sure.
And it'll become an iconic picture, like Great Sasuke holding up the 9 belts.
Yeah,
right?
Muta has that great photo too of him draped in title belts. Yeah, Goto's the next one. Will he be under a waterfall when he's taking that picture? Or no.
You know, honestly, he should do it just to mock everybody and say, "I told you." This is Goto's time. I think it can happen.
He's got to stop with this stuff. He always sets himself up for this. He's such a dork. The G in G1 stands for Goto, and then he fucking loses, and he wears the shirt after the G1. It's like, you dork.
Yeah, he wore the shirt after he lost in the G1. But listen,
he wasn't even in the semifinals. He wasn't even in contention. It's like coming to your postseason press conference and you're like champion. You're wearing like a Pittsburgh Steelers Super Bowl champion T-shirt when you're doing a press conference after you like bow out in the divisional round. It's like, no, dude, you got to take that off. Can't be wearing that shirt still.
There are 2 wrestling shirts I'd ever wear. One is G1 is for Goto. I would absolutely rock that shirt. And I want one of those. And the other is the old Gato and Jado shirt that said, "We are Gato and Jado. Fuck you."
Yeah,
that one I would wear too.
That's a good shirt.
But that's it. But the more likely outcome is that Goto, after talking all that shit, is gonna eat Last of the Dragon in the center of the ring. Where's this show? Sapporo?
Sapporo.
Okay, he's eating that Last of the Dragon in his first defense, and Shingo continues his elevation up the card. I mean, Shingo's winning this match, right?
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
So, I mean, from a booking perspective, though, match. I mean, I love Goto, but I love Shingo too. Unless Shingo's going to have one of them, 3-match series against Goto that they like to do, then he can lose. Because if he comes out of the feud winning 2 straight and with the title, I'm okay with that. But I think it would be weird for Goto to beat Shingo and then Shingo just, dicks off in some tag matches for a few weeks until New Japan Cup. That'd be weird to me.
Yeah, I would strike while they aren't.
So where do you stand on that?
Sorry, not to interrupt, but I would say, yeah, I'd strike while they aren't top. Like, let's not fuck around with this. Let's not jack around. Let's not spend weeks and months building this up. Shingo wins. Shingo's in the never. He's not a junior anymore, and he's ready to go. Like, I think in one night you can make him, elevate him, and he's ready to go. Like, why would you waste your time going back and forth? And like you said, yeah, you could do that where Hiroki Goto beats him the first time, and Shingo's got to kind of figure it out against the heavyweights and go against tag matches, and then he gets another shot at him down the line, and then he beats him that time. Like, you can do that story, but like, why? To me, it's like, you know what you want to do with Shingo, and this is like, we're talking about Gato here, who will wait and wait and wait and wait for guys. But to me, it's like, this is set up. I think this is tailor-made for Shingo to get in there, beat Goto, quote-unquote shock the world, and just start his elevation right away and get going.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I would do. I wouldn't hate it, though, if they had 3 matches and Shingo won 2 of them. I wouldn't hate that. But, because I don't think being in a feud with Goto and losing a match to him is like embarrassing. It's not like losing to Yoshihashi, so. But yeah, I would just have him win the belt and move on to. What else is on the show that matters? What's the other?
Otherwise, not a ton of stuff that really sticks out. You have Evil versus Ishii, which I think will be a pretty fun match. Okada and Moxley versus Suzuki and Taichi, which is a lot of fun. And then you have Naito and Sonata versus Kenta and Jay White, which I think is all kind of the standout matches so far. The night one.
Yeah, well, those 2 tags are just setting up the bigger singles matches later on in the tour. So, but they're really good tags, but that's what those are. So, yeah, Ishii and Evil. Yeah, I mean, I really thought they'd do that match in America, and I guess we'll get to those shows later. But okay, so so that's the first night in Sapporo. They're going back-to-back nights in Sapporo.
They are, yeah. So night 2 in Sapporo, Sunday, February 2nd, I should say. Your main event, Okada and Taichi. Okada and Taichi is your main event. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Will Ospreay for the British heavyweight title. Let's go, Joe. I think the last time they had a singles match, were you in attendance? Was that or did they have one more recently than that?
Not sure. I mean, it might be.
Because if so, fuck. That was like one of the best matches of the year. Shit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they'll work that style in this one.
No.
But yeah, those two guys can, I mean, they're going to have a...
Let me see. That's hard to believe that they've been kept apart since that. But I don't think they were in the same G1 block this year, right? Or no, they were. They were. Never mind. They were in the same G1 block this year. So, never mind. I don't even remember that match.
This match was one of the best live matches I've ever seen in my life. That was the 2016 Dallas on an Evolve show. So yeah, I mean that's the second. Like Ishii Evo, I thought would be on the U.S. tour. I thought this match would be in Rev Pro.
Yeah, I'm stunned that they would put this on, New Beginning in Sapporo. But to prove how big of an asshole, they've had 5 matches since that match. So yeah, I was very wrong. But hey, that's all right. That's the one I remember. So.
I thought for sure this being your call on a big Rev Pro show. Maybe they'll do a rematch there or something. But yeah, those are the top 2, and that just shows you, they feel like they can put Okada versus just about anybody in a main event of a big building and be confident in that. I don't have any. Do you have any doubts that the second of 2 nights, Taichi, not exactly a super strong main eventer, do you have any doubts this will draw? Do you have any questions?
Nah, hell no. It's Okada. Dude, it's Okada. He's a fucking megastar, man. Yeah, they're going to sell.
Confidence in Okada.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And a great semi-main event. Yeah, and a great semi-main event. So what else is on this of consequence?
Really not a whole lot else.
Tags, but,
yeah, not a ton yet.
Which, I mean... Go ahead.
No, sorry. Yeah, sorry. We're having connection issues if you can't tell this night. But otherwise, Naito, Sonata, and Hiromu versus Kenta, Jay White, and Taiji Ishimori. So that's pretty fun. But yeah, not really. It's just kind of your standard kind of boilerplate, 6-man. Moxley, Roppongi 3K, and Taguchi versus Suzuki, Desperado, Kanemaru, and Dookie. Dookie's coming back, Joe.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah, not really. El Phantasmo versus Gabriel Kidd. Is on this one, so Gabriel Kidd making his, I think, would that be his official debut with New Japan?
Yeah, so Gabriel Kidd is coming in for this tour from the LA Dojo. Shibata took a liking to him, and he's been in the LA Dojo. But the thing is, he's wrestling Phantasmo, but it's going to be a squash. He's a young lion right now. But that's just another, prospect that they have in the hopper. I mean, did you notice that there were 1,000 young lions at ringside at Wrestle Kingdom from 4 different countries?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
my God.
Crazy.
Yeah. They're fucking stacked, man. You saw at the end of the ring, it was there was a new guy holding the ropes open every single time. And then, somebody did a dive to the outside and took out 20 dudes. And I'm like, holy shit. They're stacked. And given how, their track record that most of those guys are going to end up being something, which is scary for other wrestling promotions, that they're just fucking ready to go and rearing. And it's a testament to their schools. You got the dojo, you got the Fale dojo, you got what's, bubbling up in terms of people they can send over to Rev Pro. You got their normal dojo. They're ready to go, man. They're fucking loaded for the next few years.
Yeah. And it's not just that they are loaded with bodies and quality bodies, but you trust their training.
Right.
What Shibata has done in LA, I mean, those guys are great. They're already great. It's just so, those guys had matches at the LA Dojo guys, the Wrestle Kingdom opener on night 1 and the opener at New Year Dash. Outside of the high-end top of the card stuff was the best stuff of the undercards on all of those shows. In terms of, work and everything, those guys were working stiff. They were intense. Carl Fredericks, of course, but the other guys don't get enough attention. Coughlin and Connors. So I'm sure Gabriel Kidd, a guy who people liked even before, with all of that training he's been getting in the LA dojo. And obviously we know how good their dojo is in Japan. And then you got the Wheelman down in Oceania there training people too. So, I mean, it's just incredible the amount of talent they have. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him in a singles match. So that's the 2 nights in Sapporo. I think both shows will draw well. It just goes to show how much confidence they have in Okada, too, because they really didn't give him much on that card outside of the one, strong semi-main event.
And then the final of the New Beginning show, New Beginning in Osaka. That's Sunday, February 9th. The main event of that one, of course, is going to be Naito versus Kenta for the IWGP Heavyweight title. Also on the show, Moxley versus Suzuki for the United States title, which I think is interesting. We'll talk about that here in a sec. Hiromu versus Ryo Lee for the Junior Heavyweight title. And also Sonata versus Jay White. So Osaka is fucking packed, man, for February 9th. That is a loaded, loaded show.
Osaka Joe Hall, right?
Yep.
So, you had to load it up, and they did. And quite honestly, as hot as that Naito Kenta match is, I'm not even sure they had to. You might have been able to move one of those matches and give Okada a little bit of help in Sapporo because, Kenta is just on fire right now. I mean, he's a red hot heel, and that match against Naito feels real hot to me. I don't know about you, but to me, it feels like a super hot match. And, I think they're going to sell that building out with that lineup. I'd be pretty surprised if they didn't. I mean, that is fucking loaded, So 4 big singles matches. And the other thing about this tour is you've got Moxley working the entire tour, which kind of fits with what we've been telling people. Moxley's going to be working more New Japan this year. You're going to see him. He's not going to work every tour, okay? But you're going to see him on more tours than you saw him on last year. Like this, where he's working every night and working all the big shows. So, you have to work around AEW, and, that's... This is not a guy who to go out there and work 30 matches a year. He's very much into pro wrestling now, and he loves Japan, and he loves working in New Japan. And, we heard he was going to be working more dates for them this year, and bam, right out of the gate, full tour with 3 major shows. Semi-main event in Osaka Joe Hall. So, and what else? We had Sonata versus, what was that match?
Sonata versus Jay White. That, oh boy, okay, that could be good or that could be bad. That's going to be a match for sure.
That's the log off Twitter match.
For sure.
Because it's, it really, that's the kind of match where people want it to be bad so badly so that they can dunk on it. That even if it's good, they're going to dunk on it. You know what I mean? So it's like, because these are 2 very divisive wrestlers that a lot of people think legitimately are bad wrestlers, which if you think Jay White is a bad wrestler, I seriously question your ability to assess pro wrestling. And that might insult some people. But Rich, over the years, I've insulted some people.
You have.
And I don't really care if I'm insulting people at analyzing pro wrestling. If you can't see that Jay White is very good at this, then I don't know what you're watching. It may not be what you want to see. And I totally get that. That's a different discussion. But for what Jay White is attempting to do, he does an excellent job. And, we got deeper into that behind the paywall earlier this week, too. But it's like, you combine Jay White, who a lot of people can't stand his style, and then you have Sonata, who a lot of people just think flat out stinks. My God, I can see that being a match that just is where people are just feasting. Look, it might end up being a bad match. I don't love every Jay White match, even though I think he's an excellent pro wrestler and tremendous at what he does. All of his matches don't land for me. And him wrestling Sonata, if it's a bad night for Sonata and a Jay White match that just doesn't land, that could legitimately be a bad match. But it has to be really good, too.
Yeah, both those guys can fluctuate so much and so rapidly, even for me. And I like both guys, but there's sometimes where Sonata and it's just like that didn't work, and a lot of times for JY too, where it just like doesn't work. Even though I like it when those guys work, they're like two of my favorite wrestlers, going right now. It's just there's such a high variance for those two guys that hopefully they're both on the same time and they can make it work. And then the third from the top there is Hiromu versus Ryu Lee, of course the former Dragon Lee for the junior heavyweight title, and that's God, there's a story. The best story ever is like those two dudes have incredible matches every single time they face each other, and now there's the added story of the last time they were in the ring together, one-on-one, Dragon Lee broke his neck, and then Hiromu was out for a year plus. So this is fucking loaded, man, this Osaka show. I don't think enough people are talking about how ungodly loaded this show is.
No, and that's one of the greatest in-ring rivalries of all time.
Right.
It's fourth from the top.
Right.
And like you said, with that built-in story, and quite honestly, within 30 seconds of the bell, Dragon Lee needs to dump Hiromu on his head. I really believe that's how, and then from there. And Hiromu got dumped on his head plenty by Will Ospreay, so I don't want to hear this bullshit that, you're not going to do. No, within the first 30 seconds of that, German suplex. I firmly believe that, because then that's the best story. But are you a little surprised they didn't go at Robbie Eagles right out of the gate after he beat Hiromu in Korakuen Hall?
Yes and no. I think no, because I think because it's in Osaka. If this was New Beginning in whatever, not Osaka-jo Hall, let's say that New Beginning in anywhere else but Osaka-jo Hall, New Beginning in whatever the Bodymaker Coliseum or whatever the hell, I forget, Edion or whatever it is now, I think you might have seen Hiromu versus Robbie Eagles or Hiromu versus whoever, but I think that they know how important that is, and they know how they really, really want to have a great crowd here right out of the gates, right after Wrestle Kingdom at Osaka-jo Hall, so you got to go with the big guns. I don't know if you can feel confident that Robbie Eagles and Hiromu is going to get you those ticket sales, whereas I think Hiromu and Dragon Lee, the added story, the added rivalry with those, they've obviously treated Dragon Lee like a pretty big deal. That added little caveat of those two guys fighting, I think will help sell some tickets as well. So I think, yes, ideally you would have had Eagles versus Hiromu probably first, but you're playing big boy ball here in Osaka-jo Hall, so you got to bring out the big guns like right away. So for that reason, I'm not totally surprised.
Do you think that they forget about that pinfall and just move on from that, or do you think that they keep that one in their back pocket?
I think it's back pocket just because it's a proxy for Will always. So there's a good way to kind of tell that story whenever you need to, that he is sort of the representative for Will, and like they're going to go back to that anyway because it's LIJ versus Chaos. Like eventually at some point that will be the match because he is going to be the de facto Chaos Junior. So at some point they're going to do it. I can't tell you it's going to be in March. I can't tell you if it's going to be in April or whatever. I think they're going to do it at some point. Whether that story plays into it again, I don't know. Or they just develop a new story out of it where, it's just LIJ versus Chaos and Eagles is just the representative. But that match will happen this year. I think almost definitely at some point this year.
So what's more likely? Hiromu loses to Dragon Lee, and then they have another match in a month, and he wins it back, or Hiromu beats Dragon Lee, and then Robbie Eagles does the New Japan walk down the ramp and grabs the mic and says, "Not forget, buddy, I just pinned you on December, whatever the fuck. I'm next in line, whatever." And then they set up that match.
I think that's definitely the more likely scenario. I don't think Ryu Lee's beating Hiromu right now. I think Hiromu was set up for a long title reign here, so I do not think he's losing here. So I think Hiromu wins this match, and then if any scenario is going to happen, if he doesn't just walk to the back, it's Robbie Eagles coming out there and challenging him for whatever the next big event is. I think that's definitely the more likely scenario. Ryu Lee is not winning this title.
Yeah, see, I agree. I think because I don't think Hiromu can lose yet, I think if he wins, you can't do another Dragon Lee match. So that's where you have Robbie Eagles come into play. And Robbie Eagles is a perfect guy to give another defense that Hiromu will get through as they build up his title reign here. Because he's not going to lose to Robbie Eagles, especially since he lost to him last time in the tag. So then he gets through Robbie Eagles, and then, you go where you go from there. Now we're playing 4 steps ahead, and it's too hard to project out. But yeah, I think that's exactly what's going to happen. I think he wins that match. Robbie Eagles is on the tour, right? We're going to look really stupid if he's not.
He's on the tour. Yeah. He's wrestling in just random ass chaos, multi-man matches. He's
doing prelim tags, right?
Right. So, yeah. So on night one, actually, the first Sapporo, it's Hiromu and Bushi versus Ryu Lee and Robbie Eagles. So that's an interesting little thing there.
Well, Bushi's getting pinned by Lee,
right?
So the thing to watch with Robbie Eagles are his 2 matches in Sapporo. If he scores falls in those matches, and I don't even know what they are.
Yeah, night 2, not to interrupt, night 2 is Goto, Ishii, and Eagles versus Shingo, Evil, and Bushi. So there's a weird outside chance that he could maybe, but I doubt it, but maybe.
He could beat Bushi there. He could beat Bushi. Anyone could beat Bushi. So, yeah, I would just keep an eye on how Eagles is booked on the tour. Now, if he's eating a bunch of pins, they're not going to have him march out. If he's scoring pins, left out of the decisions, then who knows? But to me, it'd be real weird that he beat Hiromu and then they don't do anything off of that. That doesn't make any sense.
Right, that's not how they usually do
if that were the case, they could. Yeah. So anyway, so that's the 4 top matches. Is there anything outside of those singles in Osaka-jo Hall that is
Oh, geez, I completely skipped this one. Roppongi 3K versus El Desperado and Yoshinobu Kanemaru for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag titles.
Listen, but to me, Roppongi 3K's best opponents have been Despy and Kanemaru. So, and to me, Despy and Kanemaru have been the junior team that have been the glue of that division for the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
So I would really keep an eye on that. That's a sleeper match.
It should be good. Yeah.
Time might be in it.
How hilarious would it be if Desperado and Kanemaru win the titles there? They're not going to, but Jesus.
I mean, it wouldn't stun me at all. It's like Roppongi 3K wins the titles early year, and then Roppongi 3K wins the tournament, and it's rinse repeat. So that shouldn't shock anybody, And Kanemaru and Despy are probably might be my favorite tag team in the company, but I'll be rooting against them because I want to see Roppongi 3K just have that trademark title run that they've never had. They've had those titles for 3 separate reigns and have only had 1 successful defense. And it's time for them to have a trademark title run.
All right, let's get to these New Beginning in USA shows as well. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that we have to talk about here. 5 New Beginning in USA shows here. We'll start out number 1. January 24th in Tampa. So January 24th in Tampa is the first of these New Beginning in USA shows. Main event of that night is elimination match. Tanahashi, Kota Ibushi, Juice Robinson, David Finlay, and Rocky Romero versus Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, Yujiro Takahashi, Chase Owens, and Jado in an elimination match there on the main event of Tampa on the 24th. Let me run down the whole card, and then you can jump in with your thoughts here. Yoshihashi versus Lance Archer. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Give me the main events, the singles matches, and then any tag team 2 versus 2 tag team matches that are with no young lions. We don't have to go through the entire card on all 5 of these. Just give me that stuff on these shows.
Okay, so yeah, I said that elimination match, Yoshihashi versus Lance Archer, Jeff Cobb versus Alex Zane. Jeff Cobb versus Alex Zane I thought pretty interesting there. And this one, even though it is featuring a young lion, I think is actually relatively important here, are pretty interesting. TJP and Carl Fredericks versus Colt Cabana and Toru Yano for that one. So again, like the other young lions are teaming with, either themselves or old guys. And this is Carl Fredericks again, moved up a ladder, teaming with TJP against Cabana and Yano. So interesting stuff there for the Tampa show for New Beginning in USA.
So first of all, I want to address the idea. A lot of people were upset by these cards. And on one hand, I get it. On the other hand, I do not. These are like 800 seat buildings in some cases, up to like, I think one of the buildings holds like 3,000, but they're not setting it up for 3,000. They're setting it up for far less than 3,000. So what you're dealing with here are small to mid-sized buildings and their house shows in small to mid-sized buildings, I'm really not sure what people were expecting in terms of cards. You're getting some singles matches, little main events. You're getting a title match at the end of the tour with the tag team titles. Listen, you weren't getting Long Beach quality cards in front of 800 people in Nashville. I mean, if you thought you were getting that, your expectations were out of whack. These are essentially Road 2 shows. These are the same house shows that Japan is running in Japan, okay, concurrently. Some nights they're going to have two cards in the same night. One in America, one in Japan. If you compare these shows to the shows in Japan, they're way better. The house shows in Japan are nothing but 6- and 8-man tags. Anything to sink your teeth into those Japanese Road 2 shows. So you're getting better quality on these shows. And it's like, to me, the show quality with these shows is totally equal. I think you're getting shows that are a perfect fit for the venue size. They can't give you 5 pay-per-view caliber shows on a 5-night swing through Nashville and Atlanta. They can't do that. This is what you were going to get. And I'm not saying you have to like the cards. You don't have to like the cards. I can see why you don't like the cards. But this is always what they were going to give you. And I think these cards are fair for the venue size. I don't think these cards are unfair. So when they go to MSG, you get one of the best lineups of the year. When they go to Dallas, you get a fucking G1 show. When they go to Long Beach and it's live on Axis, you get a loaded up show. Okay? When they come to Nashville, you're getting Lance Archer and Yoshihashi. I'm sorry, that's how it works. Okay? And it's like not getting big time title matches and so now here's the thing, Rich. If these shows do not draw, they have to reassess. They have to say to themselves, okay, we either have to bite the bullet and load up these shows off matches that we don't want to burn off if we want to draw, we're going to have to run even smaller buildings. If you're going to run even smaller buildings, what's the point?
Right.
Don't even come over here because you're not going to make any money. Okay? I don't think they're going to give away cards better than this in buildings of this size. The other way to fix this, okay, is if you do these, tours, these 5-show tours, make the 5th show a C-level pay-per-view, right? Like Destruction in Bipu or something, or Wrestling Dantaku, or New Japan Road, like something along those lines, where, okay, you do the 4 shows, but then the tour ender, some big stuff on it. More than just the tag team title match that they're doing on this tour. Big time singles matches, the same kind of card you would get in Japan if it was a C show. You could do that too. But again, and that I think you save for your biggest building at the end of the tour. So if this doesn't draw, they really do need to reassess. Okay. And so far, it doesn't seem to be drawing very well in the buildings where we have the information. Some of them aren't even on sale yet, and others we don't have a seating chart. But I don't think, now I want your take on this, but I don't think these cards are unfair for the building size. What do you think?
No, I don't either. And this is, it's been this weird thing, this weird relationship with New Japan and USA and the expectations of people in the USA. And the expectations from a lot of people are, hey, you're coming to America and you're going to have to bring, your top cards to get the attention of American audiences or whatnot. And that's not totally unfair. I do think that they do need to bring good cards, and especially if they're going to run some relatively big venues. Yeah, you're going to have to bring like your goods, and you're going to have to bring, there was this weird thing where for a while there, they were relying mostly on like their American talent. And then they started realizing, okay, no, people in America want, authentic Japanese shows when they're there. And then we're going to give them a little bit more of the New Japan feel, but it's in America, and then we're going to so there's been like this weird sort of feeling out phase for New Japan in America and what they're going to do and how they're going to roll these shows out. But I was always under the impression when they officially announced that, hey, we are going to run in America, New Japan of America, that you were the days of like a big super show or a lot of super shows was kind of that was dead and gone. Like, I think you're still going to get your one random show. Like you said, MSG, Dallas, a big show in Chicago, a big show in LA, like once or twice a year, I think you're going to get your big shows and your ones that matter. But if they're going to be running, pretty consistently, like it looks that they are in America, then no, you're not going to be getting Kota Ibushi versus Hiroshi Tanahashi in fucking Durham, North Carolina. Like, you're not getting that. You're getting, as you said, Road to quality shows. You're getting house show quality shows. And I don't know if I don't know what the fans' expectations are, and I don't know. We're going to see what the ticket buying, audience expectations are too, because these shows could bomb, and then it's like, all right, cool, all right, back to the drawing board. Let's figure it out. Like, I think last year, the stuff that happened with the New Beginning and the visa issues is one that we kind of almost have to throw out a little bit, because it was just like they were dealt a terrible hand. The shows didn't deliver on the way they wanted them to, and that sort of stuff. A lot of stuff got caught up in that one. They have their ducks in a row now. Like, this year is what they want. This is what they want out of this New Japan of America, which is them running, smaller venues with, these, like you said, house show, road twos, those sort of style shows or whatnot. And people are just going to have to get used to it, or if they're not going to get used to it, then don't buy it. You know what I mean? Like, people won't buy tickets. These shows won't sell well. And then they're obviously going to have to change and do something different. Right. Or like you said, they might just have to say, well, fuck it then. What the hell are we even doing in America? Why are we even bothering? Which honestly would probably be my, given what these shows look like and looking at kind of the ticket sales so far for these shows, my opinion would be like, I don't think America needs any more live wrestling. Like, I would almost, bring a super show here once or twice a year and otherwise kind of just stay out of it, because I don't know. Like, I don't know that in my life I really need these shows. Like, these shows are fine. They're pretty fun. Like, I'm excited to watch them, but like, I don't know that I would necessarily like drop everything and go travel for these shows. If they were the city over, would I be going to Indianapolis to watch one of these shows? Probably not. If it was happening in Chicago, I'd probably say, yeah, fuck it, I'll go watch one of these shows. But like, yeah, they're not really jump off the page cards, but that's what we're going to have to expect, because they're running it like they're running house shows or road twos in Japan. And in Japan, there's smaller venues. It's the, one time, a few times a year, Japan, New Japan Pro Wrestling comes to your town, so you go and check it out. But are these cards and are these names enough to get people from, Durham, North Carolina to show up to the show? Like, I don't know. I'm not sure.
They're not travel shows. That's for certain. No one's flying to these shows. You'll fly to Long Beach. You'll fly to a G1 show in Dallas. You'll fly to Madison Square Garden, because those are big shows where you're going to get the big lineups. These are shows where they're not expecting, if people fly out to them, they'll take it. But these aren't travel shows. Okay? These are house shows leading up to the 3 big New Beginning shows. These are Road 2 shows. And like I said before, you're getting better shows than the people in Japan are getting. They're giving you singles matches. They're giving you big-time main events, relatively speaking. These are basically Korakuen Hall level shows. A lot of these shows are better than your rank and file Korakuen Hall show. And there's some Korakuen Hall shows that are better than these 5 shows, but on average, these are basically Korakuen Hall level shows. You're getting Tanahashi and Kota Ibushi on this tour, and you're getting singles matches, and you're getting a title match at the end. Always shows, but these are shows that are fair to the venues that they're running, in my view. And they may not draw. And if they don't draw, they have to reevaluate how they're going to handle these things. But anyway, so we got the elimination match on this show, which is, Rich, that's Korakuen Hall main event. How many Korakuen Halls have run with these elimination match main events?
Right, exactly. So it's not a surprise to us. Like, these look like those shows. Like, these look like, exactly. But the undercard isn't filled with like tag matches setting up for the next big show. They're just like, Yoshihashi and Lance Archer. So
yeah, you're getting some singles matches, which I would rather see singles matches than those 6 and 8 man tags.
I agree.
I would rather see singles matches with half the crew than 6 and 8 man tags with the full crew. But maybe that's just me. I have no use for those 6 and 8 man tags. And that's the thing too. It's a split crew. There's going to be times they come to America with the full crew, and the card quality is going to be slightly better than this. But again, you're not going to get super shows in fucking Des Moines, Iowa, in a 1,000-seat theater. It's not going to happen. And if they don't draw, they'll stop coming. But this is what you're going to get. I really don't think that they're going to take option A and load up these small buildings and burn stuff off. Why would you do that? It's better business to just not come and go back to just running 4 or 5 times a year in the big buildings and giving people the big shows that they're going to travel to and whatever the fuck. So anyway, we got the elimination main event here. We got Lance Archer versus Yoshihashi, which is one of the few matches that they set up at New Year Dash that is actually happening in America. I really thought that they would do Ishii and Evil here, but LIJ is on the other tour. Okay, so they're doing it over there. So you got Yoshihashi, Lance Archer. What else of consequence was on this? The tag with Carl Fredericks and TJP. And there was one more, right?
Jeff Cobb and Alex Zane.
Yeah, I mean, Alex Zane is another guy who they gave him a try late last year, and it's obvious he's someone they like and someone who's going to get work, on this tour, on tours like this, along with TJP and people like that. And that's he's a good young wrestler who deserves a shot. So what's the next night?
All right, so we've got Nashville, January 26th. The main event there is Kota Ibushi, Juice Robinson, David Finlay, and Rocky Romero versus Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, Chase Owens, and Jado. So yeah, that's what you're getting in Nashville. Sorry, guys.
It's not a great main event, and they're building towards the Finn Juice versus God tag title match on the last day of the tour. But what good does that do you if you live in Nashville?
Yeah, in Nashville you don't give a shit. But hey, that's what you got to deal with. But some of these other matches are pretty fun here. I'm excited for the two of these three here. Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Yujiro. That is not the one I'm excited about.
But here's the thing. Can I stop you for a second?
Yeah.
When the fuck else, if you live in Nashville, are you going to see a Hiroshi Tanahashi?
Right, so that's kind of the benefit is like, yeah, it's kind of a shitty opponent, but it's still fucking Hiroshi Tanahashi coming out to go ace on his own in the middle of that ring there, doing everything. So yeah, there's
in a single, you're going to see Hiroshi Tanahashi in a singles match, and he's going to win and get his hand raised, and you're all going to cheer, and it's going to be a great moment. And it's like, what's wrong with that? You'd honestly rather see him in an 8-man tag with fucking Tenzan? I'd rather see the singles match. Am I out to lunch here?
No, absolutely. I'd rather see singles matches all the time. Yeah, I'd rather singles matches with a star versus some dud dude in 10 minutes and he just beats him easily and you move on. So I'm fine with this. I like these cards, actually. Like, I'm not paying to go. I'm not paying to fly to these, but I like these cards a lot. I'm excited about these.
If this was in Chicago, you'd go.
Oh, fuck yeah. Hell yeah. Because these next two matches, I'm fucking there. No matter what, I don't care what else is on the show. I get Yuji Nagata versus Lance Archer and Satoshi Kojima versus Jeff Cobb. Are you kidding?
I'm sorry. Those are great matches for this level of show. Go ask someone in Japan who lives in some fucking village that New Japan comes to twice a year in the same size building with basketball hoops and everything else. Okay, if they're getting singles matches of that caliber ever in their lives. Those people see 8-man tags until they die. They don't get matches like this. So again, Lance Archer, Yuji Nagata? Come on, man. So I don't know. I'm buying a ticket to that. If I'm in Nashville, I'm buying a ticket to that show, even though you get the lousy main event. Look at those 3 singles matches. Man, that's good stuff. That is better. That's a better card than whatever New Japan is running the same night in Japan. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. But we'll see if the ticket buying public agrees.
Durham, North Carolina, January 27th. I don't know about this one. This one might not work as well. Your main event here is Tanahashi, Ibushi, Juice Robinson, David Finlay, and Yoshihashi versus Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, Yujiro, Chase Owens, and Jado. Then elsewhere on the card.
Okay,
go ahead.
Is that an elimination match or no?
It does not say it is, so...
And that's junk. That's a junk main event.
It's a junk show, unfortunately. Red Narita is going to die because he's going to face Lance Archer. Carl Fredericks is also going to lose because he is facing Jeff Cobb. But you do get the Rock and Roll Express and Alex Zane versus Colt Cabana, Toru Yano, and Rocky Romero. So, give and take.
What a lucky match.
So you get to see Ricky Morton and Toru Yano.
Is that all we got up there? Oh. Okay, so that show stinks.
That show's garbage.
That show stinks.
Nobody buy a ticket. If you're in the Durham, North Carolina area, you're in the North. Don't buy a ticket to that show. Let them know that this is not acceptable. That's garbage.
Yeah, but see, because they're bringing in the Rock and Roll Express with the draw on that show.
Absolutely, right,
fucking crazy. That in 2020, Rock and Roll Express peaked in 1985. Okay. Peaked how many years ago? That's 35 years ago. This tag team peaked. I wasn't born. Yeah. Team had their best year 35 years ago. And they are the key drawing act on a New Japan show 35 years later in Durham, North Carolina. If I would have told you that in 1985, you would have had me committed. You know what I mean?
Right. I'm telling you,
Like,
New Japan Pro Wrestling is going to run in America, and the Rock and Roll Express are going to be the lead acts that are going to draw in Durham, North Carolina. Yeah, they'd have you institutionalized immediately.
Yeah, in 2020, right? They'd be like, "Yeah, are you going to take your flying car to the show? You fucking crazy person! That's not going to happen." You know, it's fucking crazy when you step back from it and look at it. But that card fucking stinks. What's next?
Yeah, Miami, January 30th. Your main event is Hiroshi Tanahashi and Kota Ibushi versus Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa. You also have Juice Robinson, David Finlay, and Rocky Romero versus Yujiro, Chase Owens, and Jado. Alex Zane versus Lance Archer. And then also the Rock and Roll Express versus Colt Cabana and Toru Yano. Also on that show, standout. So,
okay, so that's a good main event. You got Tanahashi, Ibushi in a tag main event, and you got the Rock and Roll Express in a tag match, but that's not great either. So far, I'd rank that as the third best show out of the four.
And then finally, we end here in Atlanta, February 1st. IWGP Championship match here. Juice Robinson and David Finlay defending against Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa. Kota Ibushi versus Chase Owens. Jeff Cobb versus Lance Archer. Tanahashi and the Rock and Roll Express versus TJP, Alex Zane, and Clark Connors. And then Colt Cabana, Toru Yano versus Yujiro and Jado. And then the rest are Young Lion matches. So the big thing there, IWGP Tag Team title match. Ibushi versus Owens. Cobb versus Archer. And then Tanahashi teaming with the Rock and Roll Express. So
that, for a house show, that's a really good house show. Anytime you get a title match on a house show, you've got a Kota Ibushi singles match on that show. That show's not bad. But I like the first two the best. And I think Miami is going to struggle. I saw the seating chart for Miami, and it's ugly. They sold a lot of the expensive ringside, but almost nothing else. And when you look at the card for Miami, and Miami, as you know, Rich, is a really hard town to draw sports. Sports teams, Miami have a hard time drawing. This is not a great ticket buying town, and that's not a great show. Right. So I think Miami's going to bomb horrendously, actually. The others we'll see. Atlanta should do okay. Good wrestling town. You got a title match. Not a bad little show. Kota Ibushi singles match. No, we'll see. I think some of these shows will do okay. I think one or two of them will bomb very badly. And then maybe you just don't come back to Miami ever again. Or there's always that option too. You look at the towns you did well in, and some of these are repeats. So the tour that struggled because of the visas, those shows drew. They drew okay. A lot of those tickets were bought before people knew. But and the fans, were into those shows at least because they were like, we're here, we might as well enjoy ourselves. So I don't know. I don't know how they'll do. I don't know if it'll be successful. I have a feeling it'll be a mixed bag. But I can't come on here in good conscience and rip them for the show quality. I cannot do that for all the reasons I already laid out.
Yeah, they're not like lying to you. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't any. Like you saw from the building sizes that and like again, like we're not saying they're right or wrong, but like it's not like this was some sort of bait and switch type thing or where you expected you were getting these mega shows and you got these shows instead. Like you look at the building sizes, you look at the way that they book in Japan, and again, these aren't bad shows on their face. Like again, you're not flying in for these shows, and a few of them are dog shit. Like a few are absolutely dog shit, but by and large, like most of them are pretty okay. And if you're in that area, you're probably going to go to that show regardless. But we'll see where the ticket buying audience ends up going because they might need to change things. They might need to get a little more serious about these moving forward, or they get less serious. I don't know. We're going to find out.
You're getting juiced up house shows. These are 5 Cork and Hall shows. Is what you're getting. Yeah. That's basically what it comes down to. These are 5 like mid-level Cork, and these aren't like the best Cork and Hall shows you're ever going to see, but they're not the worst either. If these were Cork and Hall shows, well, maybe Durham, maybe that North Carolina one would be an awful Cork and Hall show, but the other 4 would be like mid-level Cork and shows. Because a lot of those Cork and shows are fucking dog shit. It's just tags up and down, including the main event. So, from that perspective, they're treating you a little bit better than they treat their own native fans in terms of are and what they're giving people in Japan compared to what you're getting. And I think some of the tours where it's the full crew, if I could project out based on what I'm seeing here, those are going to be pretty good shows. You have the full crew to work with, and you can mix and match a little better. But also sending Tanahashi and Ibushi is a good sign.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so especially Tanahashi. I didn't think they'd ever send Tanahashi over here, and they'd spare it. They just, you know, matches. I mean, that tells you something right there that you know, he feels these are important. So we'll see. Are there any plans to air these? I don't even know yet.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know.
Like that?
Yeah, I don't know. I actually did not look that up just yet to see what's going on with these and when they're airing or whatnot. So,
you know, Fight should try to do business. Fight should probably say, hey, look, let us air these 5 shows. A package deal like they did for Wrestle Kingdom. Sell all 5 of them for $50 or something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's probably a couple hundred people that would buy that. Hardcores, you know. If it's not going to be on New Japan World, I don't know. Maybe they'll just be on New Japan World. Who knows? I don't know if they're going to send camera crews around on these things. So that's another good question.
All right, we're back. We reconnected, and I think we'll be good for the rest of the show. So we apologize for any disconnects or any weird stuff that was going on and weird, you know, cutouts or whatnot. We're fighting that all night. So we don't know exactly what the reason is, but hopefully we're all good now. So we're back. But anyway, let's get to the final few topics we have here on this week's show. We have 2 big, somewhat big, I guess. Big is probably the wrong way to put it. We have 2 shows that are occurring this weekend. The first is Impact Wrestling Hard to Kill, and then we also have NXT UK TakeOver Blackpool II. We'll start with Impact Wrestling's Hard to Kill because, Joe, you're going to be there live and in person.
Yeah, I got a media pass for that one. So I'll be in the building for Hard to Kill. And also, maybe, you know, they're doing like the New Japan style post-match pressers with the wrestlers. So I might be able to get some questions in with that, depending how it is. If it's like kayfabe style, I don't think our listeners give a shit. So I'm just going to blow it off and go back to my seat. But if it's a legitimate thing where you could ask legitimate questions to people, then I'll be on top of that too. And recording some of it and so I can't promise anything because I have to see how it is. I got to see how the tone is.
Right. And for the record, like there's been a few times where we've said, hey, we're going to do this media. Hey, we're going to do this sort of thing. But sometimes we don't do it if it's just like, we're not a website that's going to get you like Tessa Blanchard thinks like it's time for women to like, you know, like we're not going to give like, if they're giving kayfabe answers, like you guys don't give a shit about that. You can go read the kayfabe answers that people are going to regurgitate on every single news site anywhere else on the wrestling internet, but that's not what we do here. So yeah, if like, you know, Moose is trying to, you know, kayfabe Joe's not going to record it and talk about it or you know, we're not going to release it to you guys because nobody gives a shit to hear Moose cut a promo, you know, hyping up his match with Rhino to Joe or whatever. Like who cares about that shit? So
that's just not what we do on this site, and I don't think that's what our audience looks for. So, you know, it's you know, I get it if that's the kind of thing it's going to be. I understand, but you know, then you're not going to get much content in the way of that for me if that's the case. But I will be live in the building, so I'll obviously be live tweeting all night and giving the live perspective and things of that nature. So follow along on Twitter that night, and then who knows? You know, maybe, you know, again, I don't want to commit to anything, but if I do get some content at the show that I think is that we can use for that our audience would enjoy, then look for something, you know, probably on the Patreon side in terms of that. And then, you know, and maybe even some kind of post-show deal. That's all going to be decided night of. But patreon.com/Voices of Wrestling. Why don't you subscribe for $5 anyway? Because that way, if we do something after Hard to Kill this Saturday, I want to say Saturday, or is it Sunday? It's Sunday,
I
right?
believe it's Sunday. You better figure that out if you're going. Like for me, I can kind of adjust. But yeah, if you're making that drive, you better figure out which day it is. It is Sunday, Joe. So yeah, make sure you're prepared.
Well,
for that, I guess.
Well, Saturday there was a media event with Tessa Blanchard and Ken Shamrock. That's why I'm confused, because Saturday was discussed with you know, the people at Access. But yeah, the show itself is on Sunday. You know, MLW is running Dallas on Saturday. That's the other thing. So that's why I was confused too. But yeah, this show is on, and I think that's a television taping for MLW. But yeah, this show's on Sunday, and we will preview it now.
Yes. So the matches on the show, we'll get to some of these undercard ones first, and then we'll kind of in bigger detail talk about some of the other ones. But your undercard is an interesting undercard for sure. Ken Shamrock versus Madman Fulton. That is not a test. That is not a joke. It is actually Ken Shamrock. Yes, that Ken Shamrock versus Madman Fulton in your opener, presumably for Hard to Kill. You also have Moose versus Rhino. Moose versus Rhino.
Animal Kingdom.
That Rhino, yes.
Yeah, and Ken Shamrock is a guy who has become a pretty big part of Impact lately. Again, I just mentioned on Saturday, they're doing a big media event, and he's one of the two people up on the stage with Tessa. So, he's a guy who I guess they see as having some name value to maybe a casual audience, and maybe, with Access TV and their history of airing a lot of MMA, which they're not doing anymore, obviously, with the changes, maybe they feel like that's a good crossover guy to have too. I doubt they're thinking about it that deep. But yeah, Ken Shamrock's the guy who, a lot of people thought was just coming in for that one shot a couple months ago, but he's been, a pretty integral part of the company over the last couple months.
Hey, yes, but doing segments with Joey Ryan, doing big time segments, and those big time singles, just like a random singles match on this pay per view. So, good for him. The Moose versus Rhino, that is certainly going to be a match to check out. I don't have high hopes for that one, but that could be an interesting one too. Yeah, Moose being like the guy, like the super worker of a match is probably not ideal, but yeah, I'm at least interested in it a little bit. There's a lot of animal instincts in that match, as you said. We also have Brian Cage versus Rob Van Dam. What do you make of Brian Cage versus RVD?
I mean, Van Dam is just doing this. I mean, he's a must follow on Twitter lately. I mean, he just doesn't give a fuck anymore. And he knows he's in the twilight of his career. And he's very entertaining, both in promos and on Twitter. The problem is his don't give a fuck attitude has extended to his work as well.
Correct.
So, you're not getting 1996 Rob Van Dam anymore, but it's Brian Cage and it's Rob Van Dam. So at minimum, you're going to get a lot of wacky spots. That's guy's MO.
All right, we have the Call Your Shot trophy match here. It's Eddie Edwards versus Michael Elgin. Any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I mean, that has a chance to be very good, obviously, with the people involved.
Right.
Elgin has had some very low-key, excellent matches during this Impact run. Eddie Edwards, I mean, he does some deep character stuff, which sometimes drags his matches down. But yeah, that's a match with some potential there.
And then we have the Impact World Tag Team titles. This match I'm really, really looking forward to here. The North defending their titles against Rich Swann and Willie Mack.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like these two teams have been engaged in some sort of feud for months and months now. But, yeah, there's no reason that this won't be good at minimum. I mean, I'd say that's the floor.
Yeah, for sure. One. I really like the North in Impact. I voted them one of my tag teams of the year last year because they really have stood out to me, and I just think that the dynamic is perfect between those two guys. They obviously have a ton of chemistry, and yeah, a lot of stuff they've been doing. Their Impact stuff is great. Like I really, really like it. It's good character work. It's good in ring. It's good kind of classic tag team wrestling, and they feel like a tag team too. Like so often in wrestling these days, like Swann and Mack that's a good team. It's two good guys, in a tag team. But like the thing about the North is like they look and they feel and they kind of act like a tag team, and it's becoming rare again these days. There was a period where tag teams kind of came back, and now they're, I don't know, in a lot of ways they seem like they're kind of falling out of favor again a little bit here, where a lot of times it's just like two dudes, teaming together, but they feel like a team, and I'm really looking forward to that match.
Sure. Willie Mack's career has really been snake bitten in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. Like he was a PWG regular right before PWG really became PWG and broke out in a big way, right? And then like they weren't using them anymore. And then he has the WWE deal all set, and then that weird, whatever that medical thing was, got in the way. Remember all that?
Oh, for sure, yeah. And he was set to come in like right when NXT was starting to get going a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that, obviously didn't work.
Strange, that mysterious medical issue. I think he's spoken about it since, but
yeah, I forget the specifics of it. Yeah,
so do I. It was just some medical thing, though. And then, if you remember, he was set to get a significant push with the new NWA, and then contract stuff got in the way. and they couldn't use him anymore.
Right.
You know, he was, the national champ. Didn't he win the national title tournament at the anniversary show?
Yes. Yeah. I think he did. Let me make sure that was the show, but I think you're right. Yeah.
And he was set to be one of their fixtures. You know, just from talking to people, talking to Lagana and stuff, they really were strongly behind Willie Mack, and then it just, contract stuff, and he just can't work for them.
Right. It was the 70th anniversary show that he won. I forget if it was the 70th or that other one that they did, but yeah, it was the 70th one. He beat Sam Shaw to win that. So. In
the fight, yeah, they did the 2-4. Then they do two 4-way elimination matches.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It was Willie Mack, Colt Cabana, Ricky Starks, Sammy Guevara was involved in that. Sam Shaw, obviously, I can't remember the other three guys. But interesting in hindsight, some of those names, right? Sammy Guevara.
Yeah, there's some heavy hitters on there. Those NWA shows, man. That 75th anniversary show.
That show was good.
Yeah.
It was, and Ricky Starks got his first shot on that show, and he obviously impressed them because they brought him back for the TV. And Rich, I don't know if did you see the TV this week?
I haven't seen this week's show yet. I was too busy binging our next topic, so I didn't get a chance to watch it. So.
Okay, I don't want to go on a big sidebar. I'm just going to tell you and everybody else. If you watch the NWA, you don't need to be told to watch it. But if you're someone who kind of hand-waved it, or it lost its appeal after a few weeks or whatever, or you got mad at Cornette, whatever the case may be, go out of your way and watch this week's episode of NWA Power. It's the best top-to-bottom episode they've ever done. But if you don't even want to watch the whole episode, watch the Ricky Starks versus Nick Aldis match at minimum, and the ensuing angle that happened afterwards. It is just tremendous television. It's the best match that they've had on their TV during the entire run, number one. And Rich, you in particular, I know you will love this match. It is so up the Rich Craich alley.
All right.
It is. This match reminded me of the Chris Jericho versus Daniel Bryan match on the very first episode of the very first NXT.
Yeah.
Do you remember that match? Where it was
I remember that match. Yeah, it's fucking great.
That's what this was, with Nick Aldis in the Jericho role and Ricky Starks in the Daniel Bryan role. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Nick Aldis is Chris Jericho. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Ricky Starks is Daniel Bryan. Okay, you'll think I'm out of my mind. They're not. But this match is like every bit as good as that match was. And it was the same, it's in a similar vein. And you can pick up what I'm laying down here.
Right.
The veteran star taking on this young up-and-comer and kind of like, yeah, I respect you, but with a smirk on my face. And then I'm not going to give away the finish or whatever, but my God, it was great television. And if, Ricky Starks does all the things that I've been saying for years that he does as well as anybody in the world, and I mean that, and that's selling and emoting. Those are two things. And that's why I think it's taken a little longer for Ricky Starks to kind of break out or find his way into some promotions that are more visible, because he's not a flippy-do guy. He can do that stuff, but he doesn't do it, and he saves it. In fact, this match is a great example of that. And again, I don't want to give too much away, right? And he's not like, but what the things he does well aren't the kind of things that are going to jump off the page. Bumping and selling and having good facials is something that like William Regal might notice, but it's not something that indie promoters are going to notice. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, but this match is a great example of all the things that Starks is great at. Nick Aldis, I'm very close to taking the L on Nick Aldis. I bashed that guy incessantly. I said I didn't get it. I get it now. He's so perfect for that role. And his promos have been off the charts. This is a great Impact preview, by the way.
We're just blowing through these Impact matches and then talking 20 minutes about NWA.
It's just a little sidebar, but I mean, and he's so good in this match in his role of the veteran world champion, not quite taking the young kid as seriously as maybe he should without giving away the finish and all that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's just so good. And then there's an angle afterwards, which again, I won't give away who's involved or what happened there. And it's like, it's just so fucking good. But anyway, I got reminded of that because Ricky Starks worked in that national title tournament on the anniversary show.
So that's where the Impact World's at. I will tell you one thing. Nick Aldis, when we bashed him, we didn't know that this type of wrestling TV existed, that this type of wrestling company existed. Because you put Nick Aldis on the indies, where they were 3 years ago or whatever, 2 years ago or whatever, then he didn't fit in. And we said it at the time, and I flat out asked, I did the interview after All Out, or All In rather, with Dave Lagana at Starcast, and I basically was like, I get why you guys go to Aldis, but like, other than looking good in a suit, like, what can he do in this current wrestling landscape? And again, I'm not going to take the L on that necessarily, because we had no idea that studio wrestling, 1987 studio wrestling, would come back and be what this is, because no, he's perfect for that. We've always said that he's a throwback wrestler, cuts great promos, looks goddamn good in a suit, looks like $1 million, talks like $1 million. And when he gets in the ring, he's a perfectly competent wrestler that can give you, 5 to 7 good minutes, and that's what this is. So that's where, like, in one breath, no, Nick Aldis in pro wrestling in 2017 and 2018 or whatever did not quite work in the indie landscape, but he absolutely works perfectly for whatever NWA is doing. So no, you could take the L all you want, and maybe we deserve that L, but I do think that with the benefit of hindsight, had we known that, oh no, TV wrestling is going to come back in the form of this NWA, then that's a different story entirely.
But here's the thing. It's like, when he was NWA champ before this show, we were saying, how is this the guy they picked for this role? Now, I can't imagine a better person.
Oh, God, no, 100%.
I can't imagine a better person in that role. And, we didn't know what was coming, but at the end of the day, it worked out, and this episode just hammers at home. And this is a great top-to-bottom episode because, and you know why? Here's who the episode was centered around. It opens up with a Tim Storm promo. And then it's heavily focused on Nick Aldis, Ricky Starks, and Ricky Morton. So when you have Tim Storm, Nick Aldis, Ricky Starks, and Ricky Morton, didn't we talk about this a few weeks ago? That's like the 4 best guys in the company. You know what I mean? And like Trevor Murdoch, I'd throw in there too. And it's like, that's why the episode worked, because there was a lot less of the shit that you don't like about the NWA, and a lot of the guys that you want to see featured. There was 4 matches on that show, and all of them were good. I mean, and obviously highlighted by Aldis Starks, which I think was the best match of the entire run of the show either season yet. And, I think it surpassed the Aldis Tim Storm match on episode 1. Because this one I think was kind of a star maker. But anyway, we digress.
Very much so. Anyway, anything else on the tag team titles before we move on to the knockouts?
No, he's just poor Willie Mack, but it's good. He's got himself a stable job, it appears, with Impact now, and good for him, because he's a guy who really has been snake bitten, and he's so talented. I mean, that guy is so good. But, he had me for a while there when he was a regular, watching Championship Wrestling from Hollywood on a week-in, week-out basis.
Right, yeah.
Because of him. I mean, it's like a lot of it was comically bad, but, Willie Mack, I mean, fuck, man. I mean, I'll watch that guy all day and night. So good for him.
Impact Knockout Championship here, a 3-way. Here we have Taya Valkyrie defending the title against Jordan Grace and ODB.
Yeah, I mean, my big thing is tied in. How many more matches do we have? The main event?
The main event and the semi-main. There's a semi-main X division as well. Okay,
can we hold that thought on the women's match and let's skip that one for a minute until we get to the main event, because I have thoughts that tie in.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, I'll move to the X Division then. It's Ace Austin defending the X Division title against Trey Miguel, which I think that's a good sleeper match here. This could be really, really good. It seems a little over its head in being, maybe the semi-main event or the next biggest title match on the night, but I think this could be pretty good, regardless.
I've come around on Ace Austin. It's Rich, you've done this with me for 8 torturous years. It takes me a while to.
I don't think torturous. They're not that bad.
But you always call them torturous.
I did plot your death earlier so that I could avoid doing these. So maybe they are.
Yeah. But that sometimes
2 hours ago I'm plotting your death, but now I'm like, no, Joe, I like doing these.
Nah, I love doing this. You're a joy to be around.
You are a joy to be around. It's just the 3 hours is a lot.
Hey, listen, yeah, it is a lot.
I'll talk to you. I would love to talk to you for an hour and a half every week, Joe. Be great.
Many women have told me, Joe, this sex is tremendous, but 3 hours, come on, we got to wrap it up.
Jeez, get out of here.
We got to wrap it up. And I'm like, listen, they call me All Night Lanza. I can't help it. So, it takes me a while to come around on wrestlers sometimes, but I've come around on Ace Austin. He has won me over. And I do think if this should open the show, in my opinion, and they should go 7 minutes and put each other's lives in danger. And it'll be a great X Division opener.
All right, and then the main event here, Impact World title, Sami Callihan defending against Tessa Blanchard. So is this where your knockouts thing comes in, or are you kind of combining these two into one bigger point?
Yeah, I remember being on a media call with Scott D'Amore and Taya Valkyrie and Brian Cage a couple of months ago, and you're only able to get so many questions in, but it's like a question I'll have this time around if Scott D'Amore is in the room, and I don't know that he will be, is because Tessa Blanchard is beating Sami Callihan. That's 100% lock. If you can get odds on that on some betting site, I mean, jump all over it. It's happening. My question for Scott D'Amore will be, why even have a knockouts title at that point? You've committed yourself to intergender, and that's fine. They talked on that media call about going full steam ahead with intergender, not with just Tessa Blanchard, but Taya Valkyrie is also a huge proponent of it, and she wants to do more and wrestle men. And I did get Scott D'Amore to admit in one of my questions that there are women on the roster who are not comfortable wrestling men, and they don't ask them to. The ones that aren't comfortable doing it, they say, that's fine. You will only wrestle women. We're not going to force anybody to do it. But this is essentially going to become an intergender company. And if that's the case, and they're just going to go full on intergender, what's the purpose of the Knockouts title? I want an answer to that. Mm-hmm. Because what do you need that for?
Why do you have just a straight women's championship if the it does get a little clunky there in some way, especially if the woman is your world champion, then you break down those lines already. Like you break down those lines at the main event when Tessa Blanchard pins Sami Callihan and wins the title. You've broken down those borders, and now why is she the only one? Like would you only? I guess that'd be the question: is she the only one that's doing intergender matches? And if not, then why is the Impact
that's the
title
thing
here? Yeah,
she's not, and they talked a big game on that conference call of how it's just everyone's going to wrestle everyone in this company.
Right.
So with the exception of the women that aren't comfortable with it, because I asked that specifically. I said, are there people? Is there anyone in your company uncomfortable, man or woman, who's uncomfortable wrestling the opposite sex? And he said, yeah. There are women in this company who don't want to wrestle men, and we don't make them do that. But other than that, they said, yeah, we're going full steam ahead with the intergender. And if that's the case, you don't need the Knockouts title. So I'm wondering if eventually the idea is to just phase that title out or have Tessa wrestle whoever that champion happens to be and combine them or whatever. I'm not a fan of intergender wrestling, but it's not like I'm anti-intergender and want it banned. And it's like, if I'm just skeptical that it can draw at that level, that you can be a major league company that runs full on intergender and then grow. Because they've been pushing Tessa Blanchard for months and months and months now, and there's no measurable growth anywhere. At the gate, the Twitch numbers, she headlined a show a couple months ago that drew less fans than the one before did. It's like, I don't, everyone talks about how much of a star Tessa Blanchard is, and there's no evidence that supports that other than people really like to watch her wrestle, which is fine. So I want to see how this pay-per-view does. I want to see how the crowd responds. I anticipate her win over Sami getting a massive pop. They've built it up perfectly. Sami Callihan is the perfect foil for this type of situation. I think Tessa will win, but then I want to see what happens from there. Do they really go full-on intergender with their company? Does it become a situation where they fill a market niche for that? And that, because I'm skeptical, but I'm open-minded to the idea that maybe there is a market for it.
Yeah, especially for this company that really,
where else
what is there to lose? Yeah, yes. They need to find a niche. They need to find something that differentiates themselves from the competition. And fuck, if this is it, then it's it. You got to take the
Right.
swing. You know, you got to go for the home run here and see what happens. Like if it doesn't work, well, whatever. You're Impact. Like you were where you were, regardless. But yeah, I have no like. Do I think it's gonna work? Probably not. But fuck, if I'm them, I'm like, yeah, why not? Fuck it. We don't have anything else to fall back on, so why not? Give it a try.
It's something that clearly will differentiate themselves from the other major league companies, and then at that point, it'll be up to all these people who yell and scream about intergender wrestling, and you watch movies where women beat up men and all this nonsense you hear. It'll be up to them. Okay, if this is something that's viable and everybody supposedly wants this, let's see Impact move up to a new level since they're the ones doing it. And I'm just skeptical that that's the case, that a mainstream audience has this hunger for intergender wrestling. I'm not sure I buy it. And I've never seen evidence that that's the case. So we'll see. This is going to be a tremendous test case because she's winning the match. I mean, it's rare that I've been more certain of a result. I mean, and they had a great match the first time around, Callahan and Blanchard. It was a tremendous match. I think they'll have another great match. And I think I think the story's been told well and has been paced well, and this is perfect. It's peaking right now, too, so it's a perfect time for her to beat them. They've done a good job with it. So I'm happy I'm going to be in the building because I want to see, how the live crowd reacts and all those things. And then I'm very curious moving forward if Impact, which gets no buzz at all, picks up. And that's the other thing. All this intergender, all this Tessa, no buzz. It's like, let's see what happens in the aftermath. And if Impact can pick up some momentum, and if this new strategy of theirs can be a viable one, or just, they're just occupying the same space in the marketplace that they always have been.
Right.
Or worst case scenario, it turns a lot of people off. But at this point, I don't know that they have enough people even following a promotion on a weekly basis to where that's even this might they're down pretty much to their hardcore base.
Yeah, I was going to say, the people that are watching now have pretty much been.
I mean, the Twitch numbers bottomed out and no one knows. And that's the other question I'll have if I have a chance to ask it to someone who can answer it is, and I asked it on the conference call. I said, because the conference call was for the move to Access. And I was like, what kind of difference in viewership do you expect on Access? And they just dodged it and didn't answer. Now they've been on Access for a couple months. I'm going to ask the question again. How many viewers are you doing now on Access in comparison to what you were doing on Pursuit? I'm very curious to know the answer to that. And I'm sure they won't answer me. But it's a question worth asking and at least getting them on the record. I want them on the record, dodging it at least. I'd like to know. It's hard to measure Impact other than live attendance and, what some of their streams do. That's really the only way you can measure them at this point. And, their pay-per-view buys that trickle out. And, the Observer doesn't even always report their pay-per-view buys because they're so little in numbers. So we'll see, how this show goes. I think it'll be a great match because she's had a great match with Callahan and Blanchard had a great match last time. So why wouldn't this one be great?
Oh, for sure. No, and to the point of like, I think this match will be great. And Sami Callahan is I can't believe I'm saying this, but like he's a guy we've been down on for God since the beginning of this podcast, before he even went to WWE, before he even went to NXT or whatever. But like, the guy's perfect in Impact. I don't know why. It just fucking works in Impact, like in no other company. So, like it just clicks so well for Sami Callahan. So yeah, I'm excited to see this match. And yeah, like 100% Tessa's winning. Like, I think that'd be the biggest thing the biggest failure they can have is like Sami Callahan just beats her in the middle of the ring or whatever. Then like, yeah, that would be just disastrous on all levels. Then you got to go with Tessa and figure it out. And like, again, am I sure that I'm going to love it? Am I sure that it's going to do great business? I don't know that quite yet, but you really don't have any other choice. She is, by their hand, like their biggest star right now, quote unquote. Whether she's a big enough star to draw money and to be the star of the company, to be the true star of the company, that remains to be seen. But they've built her up for that. So yeah, she's got to win here. She's got to culminate the run here, and then yeah, what happens next is going to be fascinating. From the business of pro wrestling, it's going to be fascinating to see what happens if it increases buzz, it decreases, whatever. Who knows? We're going to find out. But this is a pretty pivotal moment in wrestling going on in that main event there. So
I guess she could lose if she's leaving. I mean, wasn't her contract coming up?
Yeah, I don't know what happened with that. I guess we're going to sound like idiots if she goes there. He's the one who thinks. I don't know what the hell her status is.
But here's the thing: even if that's the case, what kind of fucking story is this? To have the heel beat the woman twice, even if she
right, it's a terrible story. But
then why even do that?
I mean, it is Impact, Joe. I will remind you, it is Impact Wrestling. But yeah, that's not this regime. Usually doesn't do shit that just absolutely does not make sense whatsoever. So
well, hey, listen. Pivoting to intergender, it'd be a bad idea to beat Tessa twice on her way out the door right. And then pivot to intergender. I mean, it's a horrible story and it's a terrible way to endear yourself to the crowd that wants to see that. So, but we're going to find out exactly how big that crowd is when they do pivot all the way to intergender. And, listen, if intergender is something that, supposedly the masses are ready for and everybody wants to see, then let me see this show do fucking 40,000 pay-per-view buys. Is that too much to ask? Let me see a sold-out building when I go there Sunday, okay? And maybe both of those things will happen. Maybe there'll be fans swinging from the rafters, standing room only, and maybe this pay-per-view will do 50,000 buys because people really are clamoring for intergender wrestling, okay? Then I might change my tune. But I'm highly skeptical that it's ever been a business mover. It's loud people on social media that push for this. And as far as I'm concerned, until I see different, okay, all of these indies try it and none of them grow off of it. It's just a thing. It's until I can see some definitive evidence that it moves business. And this is the perfect opportunity. This is the most high profile. This is arguably who a lot of people consider the best women's wrestler in the United States. And she's about to win a men's title.
Yeah, she's the one. She's definitely the one to do it, to prove once and for all if it's going to move or anything. She's 100% been the best person yet I've seen that can do that. Yeah, it can really cross that over and make it a big deal. So yeah, like I said, it's a monumental moment here. Like this will be it. Like, you know what I mean? Like this will be a big sign in whether this thing really moves casual fans and really moves people that would have never watched wrestling before, or people that were disenchanted from wrestling or disenchanted with other companies or whatever. Like it's put up or shut up time, really. You know, here, because it's like, boom, here's this woman who's clearly deserving of it, who they've built up perfectly. So let's see. Let's go with it now. So
perfect opponent. And it's like,
yeah, he's a trash bag asshole dude. This second generation woman who looks like $1 million and can wrestle her ass off. It's like, there's never been a better scenario for this to happen than this night right here.
And if that building is 60% full and Meltzer's reporting that the show did 1,500 pay-per-view buys, I don't want to hear ever again how intergender is the next big thing and WWE should be doing it and it's the future and everybody. I don't want to hear it. Pipe down. Pipe down. Because none of you put your money where your mouth is if that's the case. Or it just means that, as I suspect, there's 1,000 of you out there and you're very loud. Okay? So it's put up or shut up time for this. Show me a full building. Show me a record buy rate. Okay? And I'll come on this show and talk about how Impact needs to put the fucking, their foot on the gas and go full steam ahead with intergender. I'll do that. I need the evidence that this can work. Because I'm highly skeptical. So we'll find out this weekend. Fired up now, Rich.
Let's go. I'm glad you're fired up, Joe, because now it's the A show. Now it's the highlight of this entire weekend. It is, Joe, NXT UK TakeOver Blackpool 2, and we are maniacs because you earlier today said, I think you tweeted out that we are the hardest working podcast because you went back and you were going to watch 3 months worth of NXT UK, and everybody said, Joe, you're an idiot. Joe, you're nuts. I believe I even said, Joe, don't do this. You're an idiot. And then I was like, well, if Joe's working, God damn it, I'm going to work too. So I didn't watch 3 months worth, but I watched the last 4 episodes of NXT UK, binged it before we recorded this show. So you're caught up. I'm caught up. Joe, let's take them through NXT UK TakeOver Blackpool 2.
Did you see both Ilya Dragunov versus Alexander Wolf matches? Or just
I did. I saw both, yes. So I maybe it was 5 episodes that I watched. I forget because I hand-waved the best of show, obviously.
Yeah,
so
one of them was a recap show.
So I forget what my number was, if it was 4 or 5. But I did see both of them, though.
Okay. Am I nuts for preferring the first one to the second one?
No, the second one sucked. Second was garbage.
I didn't think the second one sucked, but I greatly preferred the first one, which was the non-gimmick match, which I thought was really good. Rich, I gotta tell you, I had the pen out. I almost did it. I almost looked up the date of the match.
Get your 2019 notebook out, yeah.
Yeah, I almost dug out the old notebook. I had my pen ready. I was like, this is good stuff. This is real good shit, right? But everyone told me the no DQ match was better. So I'm like, I'm going to wait. You know what I mean? I don't need Ilya Dragunov and Alexander Wolf filling up my notebook. One match is enough. I'm going to wait for the other one, right? So I watched the no DQ match, and I'm so underwhelmed. It was a WWE plunder match.
Yeah, it's just guys hitting each other with shit.
Yeah. I mean, the first one was, to me, was so much better. But anyway, yeah, we're caught up on the NXT UK. I got it, you know.
Can I admit this here? I hate to do this because I make the joke about nobody cares about it and it's a fake promotion, all this sort of stuff. I like NXT UK, man. It's good stuff.
I got to tell you, I didn't hate what I saw. It was a very boring show where I left off, which was 3 months ago. So I went back and watched everything from when I left off. I cherry picked. I'm not going to lie. I mean, you know, am I watching every Gallus segment? I'm not doing
well,
it.
No, I mean, nobody should do that.
I'm not doing it. But, you know, I'm watching A-Kid versus Chris Cassius Ohno, and he beats him by count out. Nice little story. I'm watching A-Kid wrestle. He had a couple matches. He wrestled Devlin. Devlin is still the best guy on that show.
Oh, he's great. I mean, yeah, Devlin's great.
It's not like he's going out there having 5-star matches, but God, his work is so good, and his matches tell such great stories, you know? And they're letting him talk more, too. So, you know, he had the match, and they're building up his match against Tyler Bate, which we're going to talk about, which I think has a chance to be a great match. But yeah, NXT UK, Rich, it's way better than when I left off. I got to say that. I dumped it at the wrong time but again, I'm cherry picking, but I learned a lesson here. Maybe instead of watching the whole hour every week, just go through the chapters and say, okay, I'm going to watch that, and that.
Right. You know what's going to be good, and you pretty much can assume what's going to be good and what's going to be bad. And I think one thing that's definitely helped it is I think you dropped it just around the same time that almost everybody else dropped it. Because if you watch this show, it almost exists in its own little universe at this point, where guys are just out there like trying shit out and just doing stuff. Because I think they know nobody's watching. I think they know that they're just a content factory at this point. So like you're getting fun stuff like, you know, Cassius Ohno deciding, yeah, you know what, I don't hit people anymore. I just do wrestling moves. That's a great story. You got my fucking promo of the year. I can't believe it. Heel Kona Reeves is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. He is so good.
I don't know what got into Kona Reeves.
He's so good. I'm watching this, and it's like Kona Reeves, and I'm like, oh god, they exiled Kona Reeves to UK, and then he comes out here and he like taps the mic. I watched, I forget what episode, I forget who he was facing. He got squashed in like a minute, but he taps the mic and goes like, I have to be here in this crap country. And I'm like, whoa, Kona Reeves, what's going on here? Like, what the hell happened? I like dropped everything because like I'm just doing other stuff, and I hear Kona Reeves. I'm like, all right, whatever. Don't need to really pay attention to this. And he's cutting it. That was a great heel promo. He's a great heel.
That's his new gimmick. He comes out and cuts.
Great. He's awesome. I told people on Twitter, you're sleeping. And everybody was like, oh, yeah, I'm sleeping. Dude, you're sleeping, man. Watch these promos.
Yeah.
They're great.
And the match you're talking about was against Bomber.
Yes, that's right.
The Bomber. But yeah. No, he comes out and he runs down his opponent in the town that he's in. It's all cheap heat, but it's good. It's the best shit that Kona Reeves has ever done in that company. Better than
Guy That Smiles. Similar to the Kenta thing. It's like a lot of their characters are like, hey, you smile, so get out there, bud. Like, you know.
Yeah.
That's your characters. You wear funny clothes and you smile. All right.
Yeah, but the show, at least the way that I consumed it, watching the stuff that looked interesting, and I watched all the main events. I watched the main events of every show, unless it had Gallus, and I watched the stuff that looked interesting, whether it was Devitt or my man Jack Stars or A-Kid, or if there was a good-looking tag match or something. But I didn't hate my life. I thought I was going to hate my life.
I know. I had the same thought too. Yeah.
But it was just some good solid wrestling as we head into NXT UK TakeOver Blackpool II, which is a real show that is really happening. And now we're fully prepared to preview it. Imagine our preview of this if we hadn't done our homework.
This would have been bad. Yeah, I would have buried the fuck out of this, but I'm not going to because I'm excited. I'm ready to go.
All right, let's do it.
But one thing I did want to mention before we do that too is I can tell nobody's watching and nobody cares because there was numerous times where like somebody would make a mistake in a promo or say the wrong name of a person they're facing or say the wrong date or whatever, and they wouldn't even bother to retape it. They would have Nigel be like, I think he meant next week because this week we have this instead. And I was just like, oh man,
yeah,
like they don't even fucking care. Like El Ligero did some promo for one of his Skype promos or whatever. They legitimately cut promos on Skype sometimes, and he said like, oh, next week I'm gonna face like da 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 or whatever, and Nigel comes out of break going like, oh, I think he meant in 2 weeks because next week is our Christmas special. Like I was like, yes. Yeah. I was like, yes. They didn't even tell him, hey, Ligero, do you mind recutting that promo? They just said, fuck it. Nigel, just say he meant next week. So whatever.
Yeah.
That's why I love it. It's just this weird breeding ground that like you can't like nobody cares. It's like it's Joe. It's like a private screening. You know, you kind of feel it's like you and like this like weird concoction of talent just kind of performing a show for you and like your 20 friends that are watching this because there's nobody else. Like Joe, they had the day after Christmas, they had a best of NXT UK show on the WWE Network. How many people watched that show? Legitimately, how many people watched that show?
I can't imagine more than like
50, right? 50 to 100 tops.
I mean, I can't imagine it'd be that low, but...
Did you hear one person talk about that show existing?
An NXT UK recap show? No, I can't say
after Christmas.
Yeah, I don't. I mean,
you're cleaning up. You know, you're playing with your new toys. You know, you're building stuff. You're hanging out with your family. Whoa, hold on, guys. I gotta stop here. NXT UK is doing a best of NXT UK 2019 show. Like,
yeah, you know, when you put it that way, it's like, why? First of all, no one watches the show to begin with. Second of all, why would you watch a recap show? It's like. Yeah, it might be in the triple figures. You're right.
Like the live viewing was definitely like triple figures at best. So anyway, let's get
this. It's like the live viewing is you already had the stream on.
Right. Yeah, you were watching something else. And
you were watching Table for Three with fucking, Ric Flair. And that ends and the live stream kept playing. Right? That's the old television thing where it's like before remote controls, you were too lazy to get up and turn the dial. So, you wanted to have a good lead-in show. Before a show, that's like what that is. The only people who watch that already had the stream running.
All right, let's get to it though here. NXT UK TakeOver Blackpool 2. All right, we're going to start here with the opener, which is going to be a fucking hell of a match. I don't know if it's exactly going to be the opener the way they have run down the card. It looks like it might be Tyler Bate versus Jordan Devlin. Let's go.
I mean, watching all of these episodes, you remember that Tyler Bate is still in this company.
He's like 22 years old still.
I mean, what a waste of this human being who is so good. I mean, an absolute prodigy in the ring. And look, they were using him well at one point. He was NXT UK champion. He was wrestling on NXT proper. He was wrestling. Didn't he wrestle a couple real takeovers, or at least on NXT?
Well, yeah, I was there live for him and versus Dunn on TakeOver Chicago. Right. Yeah.
So it's like I thought they utilized him well. In his first year and a half in the company. It's like 2019, he was a fucking ghost. And they didn't even do much with him on this brand. And it's such a waste. This is a guy who could be wrestling all over the world, gaining a ton of experience against a ton of different kinds of opponents. He's rotting away. I mean, is he going to that performance center? Is he doing fucking side headlocks? Is he doing hip tosses? What are they doing with this guy? It's crazy. But
yeah, Joe Gagney put this in our preview on voicewrestling.com. Joe Gagney came out and did the written preview here. The big guns came out for this one. Tyler Bate worked 42 matches last year. 42 matches last year. Prior years, 107 in 2018 and 112 in 2017. And like that's a lot of matches. Obviously, working less matches isn't always bad, but the guy's 22 freaking years old. Like,
yeah,
he needs to be working more than 42 matches.
Yes, this is when he should be working 110 matches a year against a variety of opponents. And I think 100 matches is a good number. That's a good, solid number of matches for a wrestler, a young wrestler, or a wrestler in their prime. I don't think that's overworked at all. That's a good, solid indie schedule that he was working, in high-level places, too. 40 matches, I mean, that just stunts your growth. It's inconsistent ring time. He can't, he probably went 3-4 week stretches where he didn't have a single match. It's horrible. You know, they not only destroyed a burgeoning scene, but now they're just wasting the people that they signed. And it's depressing. You know, it's legitimately depressing. But Devlin, to me, is the MVP of the brand. He carries every show that he's on, television shows. And this has a chance to be a really great match that, you know, it's a shame. It's just because not a lot of people are going to watch it, you know, but I could easily see this being, you know, right on par with the second level stuff from the Wrestle Kingdom shows. It's not going to be, you know, Okada Naito, but can it be a nice 4.25 star match? Hell yeah, it can be, depending on the time they get. These guys are great.
Next match here is Trent Seven versus Eddie Dennis. My guy, Eddie Dennis. He's back from his injury, and he is mad at Trent Seven. So it's a little loose, the story here, but hey, I'm into it so far. So it looks pretty. I don't know. The match is gonna be very good, but they've done good promo work, and Eddie Dennis just beats him up. Trent Seven doesn't understand why, and that's kind of the match. So here we are.
Yeah, this story kind of came together late. You know, Trent Seven was feuding with Noam Dar for a while, and he had some other things going on. Like you said, Dennis was hurt, so Dennis comes back and he attacks him. Here we are. So the thing about it is, you know, they like Eddie Dennis because when he's healthy, they always feature him. And Trent Seven's a guy who is just so much better than I ever think he is in my mind. And then I watch him wrestle, and I'm like, holy shit, this guy's really good. You know, and it's like, he's one of the best tag team wrestlers on the planet. And he's a really good singles wrestler, too. You know, he had a couple really good matches on that run of TV that I watched. So, you know, he'll hold up his end, no doubt about it. So I think this will be an entertaining little match, too.
All right, so move on now here to the NXT UK Women's Championship. We have a three-way here. We have Kaylee Ray versus Toni Storm versus Piper Niven. Really hacked that one up there. I really did. I don't know why. I got ahead of myself. I was saying the last name before I said the first name. Piper Niven. All right, what do you got here?
Viper. Call her Viper.
Yeah, we'll call it right. A lot easier.
Call her the Viper. Yeah, so Toni Storm is back. So there's a lot of different ways this could go. I've seen speculation on a potential heel turn for Toni Storm. I don't know. It's a three-way, and I wasn't really feeling the build myself, to be honest with you. So I'm not so much into this one. Piper Niven gave one of the most lifeless, listless promos I've ever heard on one of those episodes where she came out, Storm asked her to come out, she comes out.
Oh, that was bad, yeah.
You know the promo I'm talking about?
I do, yes.
And I'm like, Jesus, like, she can't fucking talk. Like,
yeah, she's like, well, I want the shot because I think I've earned the shot, and I'm very excited about my title shot. It's like, oh, all right.
Yeah, I mean, cool. And she's like...
cool story.
And has a ton of personality, like, on Twitter. She's like a big personality on Twitter, and you would think that would translate the promos, but it's just not there. I mean, and it's a three-way, and I don't know. Look, why wouldn't I just rather watch Kaylee Ray versus Toni Storm? Right.
Or I mean, I guess Kaylee Ray versus Piper Niven doesn't really have me too excited, but yeah, I'd rather just watch Kaylee Ray and Toni Storm have their rematch. But
so we'll see. Maybe they'll do some kind of angle off of it or something that people think they might do. So
it was pretty thrown together, though. So yeah, the build to it, yeah, I'm kind of in between on the build.
The build did not excite me.
No.
The build did not.
And it's triple threat, so it's inevitably probably going to stink a little bit. All right, and now we got plenty of Gallus for you for the rest of this night here because we have a ladder. Joe, I always say, aspire in your life to love something as much as NXT UK loves Gallus.
Yeah.
Like, whether it's the kids, whether it's TLB, whether it's the dogs, like, I don't think I know you love all three of those things, but I don't think you love them as much as NXT UK loves Gallus because, Joe, we have a ladder match for the NXT UK tag team titles. 4-way ladder match for the NXT UK tag team titles. We got Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster, the grizzled young veterans, Imperium, and Gallus.
The worst part about all of this is we're expected to root for Gallus.
Right? These like weirdos with the weird music that look like shit are the baby faces. Yeah, it's
now they're baby faces. Like, at least when they were heels, you could, all right, well, I'm not supposed to like them. And I definitely don't like them. But now it's like,
Wolfgang's in a ladder match.
Yeah, God. You want me to root for Mark Coffey in a pro wrestling match. Like, why would I want to do that? I don't even want to watch him in a wrestling match. Now you're telling me, like, these are my heroes. I'm supposed to be cheering for these men. When I had no interest in them, as heels, 2 matches of this. I don't know, man. It's a ladder match. There's 8 guys. They're going to do dangerous shit. I don't know what else to say.
I'm actually fascinated by this ladder match because, we look at most ladder matches and it's like, all right, you can pick out the guys that are going to do like crazy shit or whatever. Like, who's the guys doing crazy shit in this match? I mean, Mark Andrews.
Yeah. I mean,
is Mark Coffey doing anything crazy? Like,
anyone can fall off a ladder, though. Right?
Can Wolfgang? I don't think Wolfgang can.
He's actually a little more nimble than you think, Wolfgang. I mean, he doesn't look like it. I mean, Wolfgang looks like, you're trying to save a buck, and you need a plumber, but you get one off of Craigslist instead of like, a licensed one. Like, and then like Wolfgang shows up and you're like, I should have spent a little more for a real plumber because
right. You posted on Next Door Neighbor that you were looking for a plumber, and this guy was like, "I'll do it." Like,
yeah,
I can come over. Yeah, you free tomorrow? And you're like, "Yeah, it's fine."
Because then
he
you're
gets
like,
the job done, but
no, I don't even know if he does. I don't even know if that man knows how to plumb.
Oh, he does. He knows.
You're calling him over like he's just like faking his way through it, and you're like, he's unemployed and he's just looking for a gig, and that's what Wolfgang is like, but he is a little more athletic than you think. So I don't know. Look, anyone can fall off of a ladder. So they're going to set up, they're going to do a bunch of long setups, and guys are there's some big guys in there. They're going to go crashing through the ladder. So you're not going to get a lot of flippy doos. I agree with you there if that's what you're looking for. But it'll be more of a violent style.
Yeah. I'm excited to see Fabian Eichner, in a ladder match. I think, Andrews is going to do like the big time spots, and then the other guys are just going to probably like, spear each other and powerbomb each other through ladders and shit. So it's fine.
Yeah.
I swear the TV's better than the TakeOver, because this preview is not selling people. I don't think this preview is selling people to stay up in the middle of the night to watch NXT.
I'm never recommending to anyone to watch a show where 2 of the 5 matches are occupied heavily by Gallus.
Yeah, when we were saying the TV was good is when there was promos by, Kona Reeves, great matches with Cassius Ohno, A-Kid, like that sort of stuff. Just to be clear, the TV is one thing. We're not saying definitively that the TakeOver is now good because of that. So just a forewarning. Let's get to the main event here. WWE United Kingdom Championship here. Walter defending against Joe Coffey of Gallus.
Big time babyface Joe Coffey.
Why the music is
Yeah,
what is the music? It sounds like a terrible indie was trying to book a dollar store Aces and Eights during like the peak of that run or whatever. Like D-Lo got released, so they had D-Lo come in as his Aces and Eights character, and that's the music they gave him. Like, why does Gallus have that music?
It's just sometimes music hits and it just takes you right out of it. It's just bad. It's that song. Just that those bearded men are going to come out of that tunnel with their heaving chests and give you a 2 3/4 star match. That's what's coming when you hear that Gallus music. So, and now we're supposed to be behind them and root for them, but yeah, I mean, they kind of stopped letting them cut promos because no one knew what the fuck they were ever saying. I mean,
yeah, even the people in the UK had no clue.
They tried a few. It's like they don't really let them talk that much anymore. Because I mean, who can fucking understand it? That one guy on Twitter got mad at us. Like, that guy understands it, but What did he tell us? I don't even remember.
Oh, that was a great insult. Yeah, I forget what it was, but he told you to. Yeah, it was some sweet Scottish insult that we were like, "Fuck yeah, that sounded great," but I forget what it was.
He wanted us to do something with our arses. Is all I can remember. Something he wanted to put something up our arse. But look, I can hear you looking for it.
I'm feverishly typing. I'm gonna find it.
Yeah, because we put down Gallus. Like he was really upset about that. But yeah, I'm supposed to root for him because Imperium are the heels. And I'm not doing it, Rich. I'm not rooting for Joe Coffey. I'm not rooting for Mark Coffey. I'm not rooting for Wolfgang. You can't make me. And I'm not going to do it. We'll see if Walter can have a great match with this guy. I don't think it's impossible. But I don't think it's any kind of lock either. These NXT UK takeovers are usually pretty good. One of them was great. I think the other Blackpool one was great. But, this has some questionable stuff. But there's a chance it all lands. I've stalled as long as I could.
I can't find it. Yeah, it didn't come up. I looked up at Voices Wrestling Arse, and it didn't come up. So maybe the guy deleted, or I don't know what happened.
Arse is maybe?
That's... Okay, hold on here. That's a good idea there. Well, it should have come up with my Arse, right? It should have come up. Arses should have come up. But you're right. We'll do Arses.
You know how Twitter searches are. They're very...
No.
Forget it.
Damn. It was good though. It was good. It was something about slagging off your arses or something like that.
Yeah, he might be not. He's the kind of guy. He might have like walked out of a bar at 2:30 a.m. and got stabbed or something.
Yeah, he might be dead. Yeah, for sure. But I'm glad. Like it was a good insult. Like we got fucking owned. He definitely owned us. So that was.
Yeah, I was like, I can't. I got no counter for that.
Right, you nailed it, dude. I love the idea that Joe Coffey's. They've had 3 NXT UK takeovers, and Joe Coffey's main evented 2 of them.
Yeah,
against Pete Dunne and Walter.
Yeah.
Oh god. And Walter kind of sucks now too, but that's all right. I guess. What a preview.
I mean, Walter has not been great on the WWE UK brand. I will say that. I guess he had the great match at TakeOver, right? Mm-hmm. In New York. And
a good few minutes in the Survivor Series until
a few minutes. Yeah, I mean,
so he ate a boot, but that's all right.
Not great. So this will probably be interference heavy too. That's the other thing. You know, the way it's all been built.
Oh yeah, for people that don't know, the entire build has been Walter, came out after that Pete Dunne Joe Coffey match, laid Coffey out, and since then there's kind of been a bubbling Imperium versus Gallus feud. So yeah, there's like 100% chance that all of Gallus and all of Imperium are probably coming out and brawling with one another at some point. So
with the side story of trying to get Ilya to join Imperium, and he didn't do it, so then he's got like his side feud with Wolf, which is probably better than this Coffee nonsense. But yeah, we're I don't know. Why this
not the best sell
takes me out. I don't. Gallus.
We should have went the opposite way. I should have started with the Gallus matches and ended with Tyler Bate and Jordan Devlin. Hey, look, Tyler Bate and Jordan Devlin, guaranteed that'll be good. That'll be great.
Yeah.
Those guys are 2 good wrestlers that there's no way. This is a disturbing thought that Joe Gagney wrote in the preview at Voices of Wrestling. He says, quote, depends on how long it goes in terms of projected match quality for Walter and Joe Coffey. NXT UK TakeOver main events have averaged 38 minutes in length.
Yeah.
They come close to that, it'll be tough sledding. That is certainly an understatement. That will be very tough sledding if Walter and Joe Coffey goes 38 minutes. So
I'll say this about the TakeOver show, okay? The seemingly never-ending feud between Ligero and Joe Connors didn't get the show. And
Joseph Connors is so bad.
I was watching as I was watching through, Joe Connors did a promo saying, "I am TakeOver Caliber." Did you see that promo? And I got
Joseph Goto over there, yeah.
Because I didn't know the whole card yet as I'm watching, and I'm like, "Holy shit! Did they put Joe Connors on TakeOver? And is it against Ligero? No fucking way, right?" Because he's like, "I am TakeOver Caliber," like all this bullshit. And he's feuding with Ligero at the time. And I'm like, that can't possibly be a TakeOver.
It was a well-built, feud. I mean, when I say well-built, not in, anything that I want to see, but they've done it. They've built it up. You know what I mean? Like they have pushed it a lot. It's just, I don't care.
Rich, they've been wrestling each other for a year.
That's what I mean. Like they
were having matches on that show when I was covering the show behind the paywall, and I had to make up the JAG championship just to make the show interesting. That's how long that Ligero and Joe Connors have been feuding, because they battled over my JAG championship. And that's been months and months and months and months, and they're still going at it. They've got no other ideas for Joe Connors and Ligero. But how could you? They're the jaggiest jags that you can possibly jag. I mean, who's jaggier than those two guys? Ligero is a jag in a mask.
Yeah, he pulls it off. That's a remarkable to pull it off with a giant mask with horns. And you could just be like a fucking dude. It's pretty tough, yeah. And
he wrestles fucking 300 matches a year. And he's still the most average wrestler on the face of the earth with no charisma whatsoever. It's amazing, actually. You know? And Joe Connors, I don't know what his deal is. He's so fucking... Is he creepy on purpose, or does he just look like a creep, or like, what's his deal?
I think he just looks like a creep, and they've kind of had to lean into it. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
So that's NXT UK TakeOver Blackpool II. If you want to read the preview, I have it up at voicesofwrestling.com right now as well. But hey, Tyler Bate and Jordan Devlin, that'll be fun. All right, let's finish out here. We only have a few more minutes. Assorted All Japan and Pro Wrestling Noah news. So obviously we talked a little bit about this during our instant reaction shows, patreon.com/voices of wrestling, that there was a major title switch in Pro Wrestling Noah. There was a big time title match in All Japan Pro Wrestling over Wrestle Kingdom weekend. So Joe, what did you see, and what are kind of the big news stories that people need to pay attention to?
Okay, so Kento Miyahara and Jake Lee, All Japan ran the second and the third in Korakuen Hall. You know, Wrestle Kingdom week has become like a WrestleMania week. Mm-hmm. All the other promotions run shows mostly at Korakuen Hall. You know, you got the big New Year's Eve tag thing. You got 0-1 always runs on the first. That show's hitting tape this week. Then All Japan runs their two shows. Noah then ran back-to-back shows on the 4th and the 5th. Both of them sold out head-to-head against Wrestle Kingdom. So it's really become like they know people are coming in from all over the world and from all over the country. It's become like a mini WrestleMania week where promotions sort of, more and more of them, now some of these promotions traditionally have run these dates for years, but more and more promotions are sort of piggybacking off of Wrestle Kingdom and doing well. We saw Noah. I mean, that was a very smart strategy. It worked out. But All Japan ran their two shows. And Kento Miyahara defended against Jake Lee. There was a lot of, I was going to say fear that Jake Lee was going to win. But a lot of people thought Jake Lee could win the title. He did not. Miyahara, another successful defense. I think it was the right decision. Jake Lee just does not feel like he's over at that level. I thought it was a great match. I went 4 1/4. There was a couple little messy spots that were enough to take me out of it. Or I may have went a little bit higher. But Miyahara gets by Jake Lee, but the big news there is Aoyagi turned on Miyahara during his post-match sort of, speech, Yuma Aoyagi, which is, Rich, we talked a few weeks ago. We're like, look, if Jake Lee's not the guy, then just go full steam ahead with Nomura, or maybe even elevate a Aoyagi. We said that, Rich. So, Aoyagi attacked him. It was a great angle, and he cut a heel promo, and he'll be the next guy to go after Miyahara. And I think it's great that you're trying to elevate Aoyagi. Look, I saw a lot of people complaining about it, and they're saying, he's not ready for a Triple Crown shot and this and that. What the fuck? They got to try new things. I mean,
right. Nobody's ready right now. So someone's got to be ready,
What's the harm in running a cool angle like that on a high profile show? It came across well. So you give it a shot. It's like, this is how you make stars. You have to do things that are ambitious, and you have to take chances. And Jake Lee is never going to be the guy.
Right. I was going to say, can we now officially kind of close that door?
Yeah. I mean, he's a guy you could give Triple Crown shots to, but we had Big Tom Fishy, Thomas Fishback, was in the building. And, he said, Jake Lee doesn't feel like a star in the building, and kind of comes through. And this was the guy who was a Lee supporter who wanted him to win initially. And then he got to the building and was like, I don't think that'd be a good move. And Nomura just seems like he has more momentum. And now you see what happens with Aoyagi. So I have no problem with sort of elevating Aoyagi into a challenger, and it looks like Miyahara is going to, break the record before they take the title off him, and maybe Nomura will win Champion Carnival and then be the guy to unseat him later in the year, but that's really looking far down the road. The other big match on that show, which people should not overlook, and this is all up on All Japan TV already, is they ran a junior title tournament. Remember, Rich, they sort of ran when it's late and my head's not working. When Aoki passed away as champion.
Right. Oh, yeah.
They just vacated the title. They didn't, they said, we'll take care of it the next year. So they ran a little mini tournament on these 2 days with the Dragon Gate guys, and it was Hikaru Sato on the first night beating Kagetora, and Susumu Yokozuka defeating Koji Iwamoto on night one. Both nice little matches, well over 3 stars for both of them. And then Susumu Yokozuka won the tournament. He beat Sato in an awesome match, which was the semi-main event on night 2. I highly recommend it. I went 4 stars on it. Wasn't as good as the main event, but it wasn't all that far behind either. And it's really cool to see Susumu Yokozuka, win the All Japan Junior title. And it really shows that the Dragon Gate All Japan relationship at least has some legs, at least for the first quarter of the year or so. So that was another big story coming out of that. The night 1 main event was the tag team titles. Violent Giants won the titles again. They beat Ryuji Sai and Zeus, but they won by knockout, and I can't figure out if it was the intended finish or not, because Zeus was knocked loopy by a couple of lariats, and he started to stand up at the 10 count, but the referee waved it off, and there was some confusion in the post-match. I don't know, but either way, Violent Giants are the champs again. You remember they won the tag league, so that's how they got this title shot, and they are the new champs. Whether that was the intended finish or not, I'm not sure. But the other big stuff out of All Japan, Akira Francesco scored a fall in the opener of night 1, and Susumu Yokozuka, they're like, well, who you want to defend against? And he picked he goes, I want to defend against you, that guy. So Francesca is going to Akira, the good Italian boy.
Yeah, he's still real thin, right? He's still like 175 pounds, and so not ready. But it's good that they're trying new people, in the that'll be a fresh title match for sure. Yeah, Dragon Gate guy against Francesco, and they're really going strong on some of these British guys. Danny Jones won the traditional January 2nd Battle Royal, which isn't a huge deal, but it's notable. And then the other big news out of All Japan is this new faction that has formed with Izanagi and Utamaro and Shigehiro Iri, who's wrestling in like 19 different promotions at the same time now, and they had a mystery partner in an 8-man tag on night 1, and it was Lucas Steele out of the UK. It got no reaction, obviously, from the crowd. And Rich, this guy fucking killed it on both nights. I don't know where they found this dude. I asked our British guys, Rob Reed and all them, and they're like, he was an okay wrestler, but man, it just works. Like, he looks like $1 million, and on both nights, he was just super impressive. So, again, they're trying something new. It looks like this guy's going to get a push, and why not? Give it a shot. So they have this new heel faction, and this, Lucas Steele that they're going to be pushing. And if the listeners have time, these were fun shows on the 2nd and 3rd from All Japan, and they were newsworthy shows. I would strongly recommend the Miyahara Jake Lee match and the entire junior title tournament. It's only 3 matches, and I would check out Lucas Steele. I thought he was very impressive, and it's clearly a guy. And they're bringing in JT Kratos too. He's gonna. Oh man. Oh shit. That dude's gonna fit like a glove in Japan.
Yeah, I think that's a good fit too. So, I thought All Japan did a bunch of good things, with the Aoyagi angle and everything. So, and now Noah, I didn't watch the show on the 5th. I'm not watching it until the show on the 4th airs. But we talked about behind the paywall a little. But Go Shiozaki defeated Kaito Kiyomiya, which is obviously the huge news coming out of that. And I guess we should talk more about that when we watch it, right? There's really no point.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how the match went. I don't know what the crowd reacted like. Like, I saw pictures, I saw people's reactions, but yeah, it's impossible to know until you watch it itself. So I think that's airing this week. So the 5th is already out, but the 4th is airing this week. But yeah, you're going to want to watch the instead of watching the follow-up first, you're going to want to watch the match itself and then the follow-up. So I think we'll definitely watch that. I mean, that's obviously a huge title change after a huge reign for Kiyomiya. So we're going to watch that because, of course, you're going to have to. But yeah, I'm going to wait until that show drops to watch the stuff from the 5th as well. But yeah, I'm very, very, very excited.
A curious result. So it's one that, because the results was so unexpected,
Mm-hmm.
And on their second show on the 5th, the tag team titles change hands. So Shiozaki then lost the tag titles, which he held with Nakajima, to Masaki Mochizuki and Marufuji. So another Dragon Gate guy coming into another company. Dragon Gate's working with a lot of different companies. They've got Mochizuki and Noah, and they've got obviously some of their guys in All Japan. Both of them title holders now. With Susumu and Mochizuki, and we're sworn to secrecy on this, but so I can't reveal it. But there's talks that Dragon Gate's going to link up with another company. I don't know if Rich remembers this conversation, but not New Japan.
Right?
But,
it's not New Japan. So
because people are going to naturally know So Dragon Gate's getting their tentacles all over the place now. But Noah also brought in Dick Togo. I don't know if you saw that, Rich, but
I did. That's sweet. That's awesome.
Yeah, they're. Was that Noah or was Noah, right?
Yeah.
For their the junior league. That's a 4-block league. I don't have it in front of me, but there was a mystery spot, and it's going to be filled by Togo, and that tournament looks like it's going to be pretty good too. So, the Noah shows, I'm going to watch those as soon as the first one drops. I'm real excited about that. A lot of new directions. Noah already had some upward trajectory, but I'm real encouraged by these 2 All Japan shows that I saw this week. And, an attempt at least to bring in some fresh faces and shake things up a little and maybe push a new guy with Aoyagi. And they've got the new faction. So, I'm more encouraged by All Japan now than I was at the end of last year, now at the beginning of this year. So,
yeah, it's always cool when new directions are kind of happening and stuff. And I think you and I were kind of, obviously we're down in the Kiyomiya title reign for a while, so I'm interested in the Shiozaki thing. I'm really interested in the crowd reaction to that one as well. And the All Japan thing, it feels like in some way like you kind of wanted Jake Lee to be the guy, but now it almost feels better knowing, okay, he's not the guy. Okay, who's next? You know what I mean? Like it's almost reassuring to know he's just kind of in the rear view now, and now let's worry about who could potentially be next or who that next guy is. So in a way, the stability is exciting now because now you at least can move on to something else in All Japan, which is good. I think it's a healthy way to go about it.
I completely agree. I'm ready to move on past Jake Lee. He is what he is. He just doesn't have enough charisma to be the guy. And I'm not sure that Nomura or Aoyagi can be those guys either. But
you got to find out. It's got to be somebody, or else I guess Kento will just hold the title for 5 more years or whatever. I don't know. Yeah.
Can I give you another interesting one? You know who? Something I forgot.
Francesca.
Ayato Yoshida worked these shows.
Ooh, yeah.
Now, that is a guy who, not right now, but to me, that is a guy who absolutely has the potential to be a top guy. I think whatever happened with Taka, and when that fell apart, and New Japan, they loved Yoshida, and for good reason. And, he obviously with politics isn't working there anymore, the Taka stuff. And that 2AW is just a waste. I mean, for a good young wrestler to be stuck there, there's no upward mobility. But with him hooking up with All Japan, that's another guy that I would vault right ahead of Jake Lee. If he's going to work dates there, and he's 27 now, so it's time. To shit or get off the pot with him. But it's not his fault. He's been stuck in a tiny promotion where you really have no upward mobility whatsoever. But hopefully this All Japan thing is something that can be a regular stop for him, because he's another guy who I would love to see him escape from that terrible promotion and really just end up anywhere else. So, that's another guy that's at least worth watching in that group of guys who can potentially, give Miyahara that rival that he so badly needs.
Right. And there's a potential, given the Dragon Gate thing, that maybe one of the Dragon Gate guys beats him or whatever. But we're talking about long-term, like, the next guy, the guy that Miyahara will pass that torch to or whatever, the next star of, like, that's what we're looking at. Like, yeah, you can have, Mochizuki win the title or some shit like that, but it's like, no, that's just a short-term stopgap. You need that next guy in line that you're looking at. So.
And it seems as though they view them as juniors anyway, because
they're all, right.
Kagetora and Yokoz and Susumu were brought in for the junior tournament, and Mochizuki, when he works there, works the junior with the juniors as well.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So that they don't.
So that's out too, because they view those guys as juniors. Like, and I don't think Dragon Gate would. Maybe Ben K or someone like that, but would Dragon Gate want to involve Ben K in something like that? Probably not. So, it's got to be their internal guys. But Yoshida's a guy where if New Japan wasn't able to hold on to him, I mean, if I'm All Japan, I'm angling to try to get that dude into my company. God, it's so depressing to think about Ayato Yoshida just wasting away his career in that 2AW promotion. I don't advocate for Puro jumps ever, but it's one thing if you're in just some dusty ass indie that never works in front of more than 300 people. It's just a waste for a guy of that level. 2AW is fine for your Dinosaur Takuma.
Yeah, he's too damn good. I mean, that dude's jump off the page good, and that's a complete fucking waste for him. Yeah.
And even if you're can be a big star, you can't rise that. It's not like he can help that company become anything other than what they are. They're never gonna be anything than what they are.
Most people listening to this have never heard of that company until we just mentioned it right now. So.
No, it's the former K Dojo.
Exactly right. If people know K Dojo or kind of, but I guarantee you how many people know 2AW when we said it a bunch of times. Nobody.
And late last year, Jake Lee and Iwamoto and some of those guys worked some 2AW shows, so it looks like there's a relationship there, and that's probably why Yoshida is returning the favor. And Yoshida's been kind of their top guy. He's held their top title, but that promotion's fine if you're Tank Nagai. It's fine if you're Dinosaur Takuma but man, that guy should be a star somewhere, and that ain't it. So, it's just that's how Japan is. It's whatever dojo happens to let you link up with, and
right.
But it's not unheard of to, and then Taka started up his own thing, the Just Tap Out JTO, and that's New Japan sided with Taka in that whole thing. Because, some of the New Japan guys work Taka shows, Taka's pals work Taka shows, and they don't work 2AW anymore. And it looks like All Japan is now politically aligned with them. So, that's why you don't see Ayato Yoshida in New Japan anymore, why he just disappeared in March. So, that was the story behind that. And I was real encouraged to see him on that All Japan show because I think you could throw him in the mix. But I don't know if, for all I know, he might not work there again all year. Yeah. But it would be nice if he did.
All right. That is going to be it for us. We are out of time here on the Voice of Wrestling Flagship. Of course, voicesofwrestling.com for all of our written content and columns and previews and reviews and all the other good stuff, including the NXT UK TakeOver preview, as well as Impact Hard to Kill preview by the time most of you guys listen to this as well. We'll also have reviews of both those shows up on the website as well. At Voices Wrestling on Twitter, you're going to make sure you get to there. Follow us, as we said. Joe will be live tweeting from Impact Hard to Kill on Sunday, so we have that. Patreon.com/Voices Wrestling, our subscriber side for just $5. You can get all the content that we produce on patreon.com/Voices Wrestling, including our instant reaction shows. I'm getting started with the Rumble Rewind, going back and looking at old Royal Rumbles. You got November to Remember. You got the TV reviews. You got news updates. You got plenty of stuff there at voicesofwrestling.com/Patreon, so you cannot beat that just for $5. And yeah, we also wrote a book. Again, voicesofwrestling.com. You can get details on our New Japan Year in Review ebook. You can download it for free if you want to just test it out, or which we recommend, obviously, is paying for the book, because all the money that is made from the book is spread among the contributors. So it's not just Joe and I laughing in our coffers. It is all the money that is made for the book is split between everybody who contributed to the book. So it's a great way to, if you like what you see, you enjoy the book, you've enjoyed reading it, or you've read the past editions or whatever, put some money on there, whether it's $1, whether it's $20, whatever you want to do, whatever you feel comfortable with. It's a name your own price we would definitely recommend that, and we definitely encourage it because it'll help us share some money with the people that work hard on the book each and every year. But that is it for us here on the Voice of Wrestling Flagship Podcast. We will talk to you guys next time. Bye.